Well, there goes the Daverhood. Welcome, everybody, to this episode. I thought I turned down the volume, and yet the volume pops back up no matter what I do. Yeah, thank you very much. Here on this Saturday morning, it is October 16th, 2021, and we're here with the 820th episode of this program, Dave's Gone By, with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Notice I started with this. We usually keep this sacred object for the trivia game that comes later in the show, but this has been falling apart. If you've been watching week after week after week, you notice the all-important hitty stick has been broken and taped together and kind of wobblies, but still works. And this has lost a rung on my toy xylophone, and I've got these. But these things were hanging off, and we did some serious work this morning in trying to salvage this and make this still usable. So took a lot of time, a lot of effort, but we put a piece of Scotch tape here and a piece of Scotch tape there. And so far, it's holding together, and even to some extent holding its beautiful tone. Check this out. This one not so much because I taped it improperly. Little bit flat. Lionel Hampton would not be impressed. But check out this one. See, it's got the ping. It's got the... Well, not so much. Well, it had it more before. Now it's... Maybe if I hold it this way. Oh, check that out. Beautiful, huh? Beautiful. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. My darling and adorable wife, Joyce, will be joining us momentarily for the first part of the show, Dave's Gone By. Let me tell you what's going to be on this particular episode of the program. We're calling it Turning Green. Rather interesting because a couple of weeks ago, we had Amanda Green on the show. She is a Broadway composer, writer of musicals. And so we named that one? We named it Green Something, or Green Day, we called the episode. And wouldn't you know, in about 2 or 3 weeks, we're also going to have a longtime theater critic, friend, and acquaintance of mine, Alexis Green, is going to be joining us in the Daverhood. We got to come up with a name for that. But in between, we have a comedian and actress who's doing a solo show at the United Solo Festival in New York, a festival I know rather well.
Didn't you win a prize?
Yeah, when I did the Miracle of Long John's back in 2015. I did it. I workshopped it at the Boulder Fringe Festival and then brought it to United Solo, where I had a sold-out performance and people raved and they loved it and nothing happened. But I did win.
You won something in Boulder, no?
I said that I was at the Boulder Fringe. No, Boulder was, I'm glad I did it in Boulder, but Boulder was all sorts of headaches, if you will. And some audiences, well, no, the audiences really loved it, but I had issues with the folks running it because of the time of the show and all of that.
Oh, that's right.
But in New York, I'd rather win no offense to Colorado, but I'd rather win an award at a New York festival than a Colorado festival. And I did. Anywho, I won best nonfiction script for the United Solo. Anyway, so I have happy feelings and warm feelings for the United Solo Festival in New York, which is where our guest in the Daverhood today, Melanie Greenberg.
Yeah, but your last Green had an E.
Yes, this is a different E. Well, no, I think did Amanda Green have an E? I don't think, but Alexis Green will have an E. This one has a Berg. Melanie Greenberg will be our guest a little later in the Daverhood, talking about her solo show, which, as so many people's first solo shows are, is about her crazy life growing up. Apparently she had quite a life. Nice Jewish girl, and that's literally in her précis, in her synopsis of her show, The Elephant in the Room. It starts, nice Jewish girl. Well, I think I have it. I think, because obviously we know who's going to be doing this interview.
That's going to lead downtown badly.
Nice Jewish girl and her psychedelic odyssey that goes from Yale to alcoholism. Pentecostal churches, mental illness, and all sorts of other fun things in her life that she has turned into an hour-long solo show that she is going to be doing at the United Solo Festival for a couple of nights.
When is the festival, honey? I don't know.
It's going to be, well, I think the festival has already begun, but her stuff starts in late October and goes into the first week of November.
Oh, wow.
And it's right in Midtown Manhattan on Theater Row. You can go see it. Will you want to go see it? You can decide, because we're going to have Melanie Greenberg. I'm sorry, what?
How do you get tickets for the Fringe? I'll put it in there. I'll put it in the
Yeah,
chat.
it's United. Look for United Solo, and it'll
United
come right up. And it's in person. It's not an online streamy thing. This is an actual physically go there and see her show. It's called The Elephant in the Room, and she will be the Greenberg in the room when she will be on the program in about an hour and a half from now, talking to Rabbi Sal Solomon, the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sal Solomon. He heard we were going to have a Jewess on the show. He heard Melanie Greenberg was going to be here. He's like, I have to talk to her. I've got so many questions, and basically he'll talk to anybody, but if they're Jewish, even more so. So Rabbi Sal will do those honors, and it's great to have him on the program this week. Now, also on the show, we will have our regular, irregular segments. For example, Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We go through the newspaper of Greeley, Colorado, where every week there are two different columns that are done.
What's her first name again?
Melanie Greenberg. Every week there are two different columns that are real, actual, fact-based columns. There's Cop Log, where they go literally through the public record dispatches of calls that come into the Weld County Police Department from people who are noticing messed up things happening in their neighborhoods. So they call the cops, and there's a dispatcher. It doesn't go right to the head of police or the sergeant. Dispatcher takes the message, and some of them are amusing and interesting. So they put those in a column in the Tribune once a week. And then our friend over there, Mike Peters, goes through the newspapers from 100 years ago and plucks out the goofiest, most nostalgic, funniest, weirdest things, at least to our modern eyes, of what was in the Colorado newspapers back in 1921. We mix both of those columns up in a segment that we call Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and we will be doing that as well on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Also, speaking of Colorado, our weekly Limerick of the Damned, and we're going to Rico, Colorado today, a little town called Rico. I've written a poem about it, a short 5-line poem. In fact, it takes me about 5 times longer to set up the poem than to actually tell the poem, but it's Rico, Colorado, our Limerick of the Damned. She has two what? Yeah.
Saturday and 11/6 and 11/7.
Right. She had one on October 29th that sold out.
Okay.
And then on the 6th and the 7th, they're still open at United Solo on Theater Row, so do go. And also on this episode of the show, what did I leave out? Oh, our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz. I think I mentioned that when I opened the show with this beautiful, gorgeous instrument. Oh, by the way, I did forget to do this again. Look at this. Watch me. Watch me now. A little more light on the subject. That's nice. I look really bald, but I look good. So, I'll take it. The weekly trivia game is called Today, Yesterday. It's a trivia quiz that we play with our panelists. So Melanie will be with us, as well as, of course, David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake. We ask them trivia questions. There's no prizes. I think you can see what the budget of the program is. But they play for fun. We all play for fun. And it's become one of the favorite parts of the show that people enjoy watching. So yes, we will have our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz later in the show as well. So, with all that being said, and all those preambles, finally preamble,
I'm putting 3 links.
Joyce is posting some stuff on our Facebook, well, the page that you're watching right now. So if you keep scrolling down, I don't think you have to reload. Just keep. Yeah, and she's putting the link to the United Solo and links to Melanie Greenberg, Elephant in the Room, and whatever else.
The solo,
Yeah.
the place to get tickets, and then I put the Elephant in the Room, the website. So she's got her website, the website that's linked, dedicated on the United Solo page, and then United Solo, just general overview.
Oh, can you add my porn site? I just started that this week.
No.
Oh, no? No?
That's the elephant in your pants.
Thank you. I hope you all heard that. That was very good. Thank you. How was your week, dear?
I can sit up. I'm happy.
Well, yeah, Joyce had a week.
I'm not vomiting, or I don't have a fever, so it's a good week.
So I don't want to give anybody sort of a weird misimpression. So we'll begin with the fact that Joyce got her booster shot early this week. I mean, it was Monday. We went on Columbus Day, and what was wonderful is that, again, this I found really, really funny, because Joyce was like, I want to go to that Walgreens. I want to go to that CVS because it's a CVS.
Well,
There's people
broke down, so I couldn't go to Walgreens.
Right, that too. Well, we didn't know that, but more backstory. But so she said, do I really want? And I had to remind her. I said, we got the first 2 shots. We both got Pfizer shots at Aqueduct Racetrack, and you had no problem.
But I also got to smoke a Marlboro and bet on a horse. So.
That's true. It's like we went to the least sanitary, a place that is invariably going to smell of horse shit somewhere, with off-track begging or on-track begging, and guys with cigars and $3 in their pocket, and they're spending $2 for the trifecta, and this is where they choose to give a sanitary, semi-tested new vaccine to save the world. And Joyce was okay. We just gotta get the shot. Let's go to Aqueduct. Now it's like, Walgreens. How sanitary can that be? I'm like, we were at Aqueduct. We can go to Walgreens. We can go to CVS or Rite Aid. So we signed out, and it's great because it's also local. And we did have a panic because earlier in the week, like to start the weekend, or I think it was Sunday.
Because Monday was
Columbus Day.
Well, I don't like to say Columbus. I say Indigenous people.
Excuse me, Indigenous non-Italian type person day.
How do you discover something that exists? Look, I discovered tea. I claim this tea.
Yeah, but you know what? It's like, what was it, Jonas Salk? Or who was Alexander Fleming? It was like, mold existed. Mold had been around since the dinosaurs.
He determined a new application.
Yeah, God discovered penicillin, but if it hadn't been up for Alexander Fleming, I don't know, give a little bit of credit.
Give a little bit of credit.
But so on Sunday morning, we went into our usual Sunday morning routine that I tell you about here. We go to a local farmer's market, and then we go get a little lunch, and then and that's been our lives for 1.5 years because there's nothing to do during a pandemic. So we get a little lunch and we go to the farmer's market, and that's our big hoo-ha of the week. Except we get in the car, my mother's RAV4, and I go shing, and nothing. I go shing, and nothing. And now that's the moment that you think back to 4 days ago and 7 days ago and 9 days ago. It's like, I would get that little orange flashing battery light. I probably should have paid attention to that.
I told you, but you're passive aggressive.
Yeah, I'm saying, the car turns on.
Who's on looky?
What's that? What? I can't see it. Oh.
No, don't say it.
Oh, do not say it. No.
Do not say it.
So... but and I'm like, well, why are we getting a battery thing? It's like the car's running. It's like this and fine, and then it goes away. If I saw that light every minute that I was driving, I'd be like, oh, that's a problem. But then we use the car on Saturday, get up Sunday morning, nothing. So we call American, what we call AAA, and they come right over. Wonderful. It is really, considering how little, I don't want to give AAA any ideas. I really don't. But considering how little they charge for a year's worth of service, that they'll come over, they'll start you up, maybe, and they'll never stop. They're pretty damn good. Guy comes, he's great. And he's the same freaking guy who was here about a year ago.
Colorado too.
Well, yeah. Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
but
the same guy.
because this happened a year ago, roughly, on this car, which is otherwise a brand new leased car from Toyota, right? And he said, well, yep, a year ago, batteries drained. And I thought, well, what the hell did I do? Well, what happened? How did it drain? Because one time in Colorado, in our beloved Subaru, overnight, I used the light over the top, in the car, that light, and forgot to turn it off, and it drained the battery, and the car.
That still should not do it. A light in the car should not drain a battery.
It did in our soup.
There should be some kickoff where it stops it.
I know.
I don't understand why we can send men like Shatner to the moon, but we can't fix.
Then we can't fix it, right? But this time, So a year ago, he said, "There's no reason. It's a brand new car, brand new. There's no reason it should drain like this." But he started us up, was fine. And now it happens again, a year later. So he tests the thing, and he comes to the house. Thank goodness the car died in our driveway and not at the farmer's market or on the road somewhere. It wouldn't start up. So he comes, he puts the thing, he puts the clamp and the clamp and testing and turn it on and this. And he says, well, here's the deal. It's not about the starter. It's nothing in the car. It's none of that per se. And there's no... there's a 66% of this, and you can see this is going into the blue-green area. But this part is in the red. What's in the red? Well, you've somehow drained all the lithium-ion gook that's in a battery that makes a battery a lithium-ion battery. In the old days, they used to make batteries with some other shit in there. Do you remember what that was? They used to make car batteries out of two different... There was lithium and there was something else. And now they have a lithium in it, and for some crazy reason, your car is just draining all the lithium. Not only that, in a way that is scary, that maybe Russia and China are involved with, the battery is draining when the car is off. How does this happen? And then I start also thinking, I'm like, if I take my cell phone and I charge it before going to sleep, and I unplug it, right? I fully charge it before going to sleep. I unplug it. I check it in the morning. It's down to like 94%. And I don't turn the cell phone completely off.
You sleep text.
That's true. I sext in my dreams. Like, No, but it's like, what's happening? Nobody's calling me. It's not like I'm getting phone calls. Because it would tell me. It would say, oh, you scam caller. Oh, could be. Joyce is saying she thinks maybe some of my potatoes are, they're calling Amazon, they're calling the Heinz company. Maybe. But think about that. Why is my phone oozing energy for 6 or 7 hours when nobody's calling it, nobody's, and sometimes if I remember, I'll go and I'll just hit that button that kills all the windows so that there's nothing still sort of open, my text, my phone, what if there's a camera on, and I think that helps a little bit. But if that's happening with my phone, and maybe your phone too, there's stuff that's still on in the car. Otherwise, how would...
Yeah, the security system.
Yeah. Right, if somebody breaks into the car, how does the car suddenly know? Nobody's turning the key on yet.
RAV4s won't do it because they ain't got no juice.
And it turned out that this is a thing with these RAV4s that were built over the past 2, 3, 4 years. They have this strange ability to drain, and you might want to check this out if a lot of people have this car, to drain the lithium out of a battery. Maybe, and far be it from me to say that maybe the backseat has a mood disorder and needs, the lithium from the battery to keep stable. I don't know. But how does this happen? But Toyota finally realized that they were getting enough calls and complaints about this, and people saying, this is a new car. With a battery, it should not be, and people are, of course, worried that it's a thing in the car itself. The starter's a problem, this is a problem. And Toyota comes up with a fix for it. And they're like, yeah, okay. We realize we have understood where this is going. Thank God it's not leaking anywhere. but we can fix this. We can put in, I don't know, an app. The equivalent of what an app is on a phone, they can add to the car to fix it. So, of course, this happens on a Sunday. We check the interwebs. We see our local Toyota dealer, where the car is leased from, is open. It's open on the Sunday of a holiday weekend. So we drive over there. And, of course, this is the beautiful part of America. It is open. The sales area is open. People selling cars to poor rubes or leasing cars to poor schmucks, who are going to buy.
They're trying to offload all the cars they didn't fix.
Yeah. They can start it very quick. Once you're off the lot, good luck to you, but we can get it started for you now. And so that's open. But the whole side of the section for service, where they fix the cars and help the cars that they've sold you, that's closed. That's, not there. So, I go there and like, crap. I ask the guy. He says, no, all right. Come back tomorrow, 7 a.m., we're open, blah, blah, blah. And then I think to myself, this is where I overthink things. I'm like, wait a minute, fella. That's not how I put it. Wait a minute, fella. Tomorrow is, what we used to call Columbus Day. Are you sure you guys are open? It is a national holiday. A lot of things are open, a lot of things are not. I think of it as a big holiday because I was off from work. So I said, I'm not sure. Let me go check. And he checks with another guy, and he goes, oh, no, we're not. So, okay, thank you very much. Which sucks because I need the car for Tuesday morning to get to work, and Tuesday is the first time that anybody can get to it. And then my mother brings the car in on Tuesday to have it looked at, to have it worked on, and the deal, what it turned out, they were open on Monday. It would really, really be nice if one hand...
I think, David, that place has got just organization down pat.
Yeah.
They got a clear chain of command, and they're good at communicating.
Ask one person this, ask one person that. Put the right stuff on your website. And let me be also quite clear that the folks that I did talk to for the moments that I was in the Toyota place on Sunday were very nice. They tried to be helpful. They gave me the wrong information, but they were helpful. And overall, the RAV4 has been a very good car. I was in love with my Subaru that I drove for 9 years in Colorado. I love that car, and it did us very, very well until its battery started to go, and it got pelted by hail. But, to try another car, it's nice. It's been very good. But I want it to be able to start. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Fussy.
Yeah, there are people who live in cars. It doesn't have to go in. We can drive the car to a trailer park.
You just want everything.
I do. Would you live in a trailer park?
I feel like, there were many trailer parks in Greeley, and many older people live there because a trailer is cheaper than a house. So the one woman said to me, like, would you rather live in skilled care or assisted living when you don't need it? But she said the problem for her in the trailer park was there wasn't a sense of community. People felt like there were lowered expectations, so people didn't really want to make a sense of... I think I'd rather live in a community of tiny homes.
Oh, well, you went the tiny home thing,
I like the tiny home, yeah. And
see,
if it's on wheels, we could drive around with it.
But what you're saying surprises me, because we always get, and it's a very probably, white middle class feeling about this, that have this image of people who live in trailer parks as always, having barbecues together, key party and swap meet things, and cooking up raccoons on the grill. That isn't what it is. I mean, well, perfectly really nice manufactured homes in trailer park area. You look in them, you see these things on Zillow. And well, that's really nice. Why is that thing only $240,000 a trailer? I don't know. I don't think I could manage a tiny house. I think I would go out of my tiny little mind in a tiny house. What appeals to you about it?
I like so even Bill Thomas, right, the gerontology guy, he has like Minka. So I like the idea of like one central floor plan with little things off of it, and nice, and I like something small and cute. I don't need a lot of stuff.
Well, no, I don't need a lot of stuff
We're
either.
drowning in stuff. I hate
But
stuff.
I don't think I can live in 200 square feet.
I think
either.
we could.
Yeah. And also, 200 square feet would be the worst marathon ever because people would just be clomping along on their little square feet joke. Yeah. That's the comedy we do here on Dave's Gone By Live on this Saturday morning. It is...
Oh, they have a picture
what?
of William Shatner with the sign that says "Suck it, Picard." Look here.
And apparently he's feuding again. What was it? Back to...
Suck it, Picard.
Oh, I don't know if he's actually holding that. Sometimes they do that,
Oh,
where they change the actual look of the sign he's holding up.
Pretty real.
I think he's still feuding with, what's his name? With Sulu. Sulu's making fun of him, saying that of all people to go into space, Shatner at the moment is not exactly the picture. But hey, the man is like 92.
It's something if he wanted to do it. I mean, I have no desire to do it, but if it's something he wanted, good for him.
Yeah, he's got the money. People are saying, oh, well, if it cost him $5 million to do this, that's money that could have gone to charity or something. Well, you know what? That money's going to Elon Musk or whoever to develop cars and hyperloops and space travel.
This is not a communal society. So this is like, dog eat dog. So people spend money. There's no communal spirit.
Well, yes and no. If you look at a Mark Zuckerberg or somebody like that, or that other guy, they give umpteen billions to charity. They do. And maybe Shatner does as well. I'm sure he has over the years. But, there is this thing of if after our deaths, space travel becomes common enough that a regular person could spend like $20,000.
I can't do it. I get so much vertigo.
Well, yeah, but other people might. And you wouldn't necessarily land on the moon. You go up into the stars, past the clouds, into the stratosphere for 5 minutes, and come down. And instead of it being $2 million or $20 million, it's 20.
It's gonna end up like Port Authority and like New Jersey Transit. Like, I'm waiting. Is this the Mars shuttle?
I paid $30,000 for this,
shuttle?
and look at the bathroom.
Is this the? I'm not sitting next to him because he ain't bathed in 7 weeks.
It's like, I go to Saturn, and there's a homeless person. I mean, really,
And where's the Opal Pond? Where's the Sparrows? Is the Sparrows open?
Of course, there's a Starbucks, but do you think they could build a Pete's Coffee on that galaxy? And the little moon men, they never make my latte the way I want it. They just don't understand when I say 2 shots of hazelnut.
They don't have almond milk or what is the other one? Hemp milk.
There's no hemp milk on Venus. And of course, everything on Uranus tastes like crap.
Oh, God help me.
Oh, yeah. That's a good riff. I like that riff. I just did that. Okay. How do we get there? How do we get anywhere on this program? Dave's Gone By. October 16th, 2021. It's our 820th episode. We're calling it Turning Green because Melanie Greenberg will be with us. Rabbi Saul.
It's beautiful. I love her website. The drawing, the drawing is really nice.
Yeah.
Ask her who did it.
Yes, it's a really nice website called, for not her own, that's a separate website, but she's got a website for the show, The Elephant in the Room.
Yeah. I like the show.
What else? What else do I want to talk about? Because we've got Greeley Crimes and Old Times to get through on our Limerick and our quiz. Oh, so much stuff. But what else? So I talked about that. And here's the deal. Because Tuesday I didn't have a car, I took an Uber, which was great, which was fab, really nice person. And what's good is because I was wearing such a strong mask, I got in the car and I knew that she had some sort of either perfume or car deodorizer thing. I'm like, oh, God. But because when I wear a mask, like 80% of smell is gone. I love that. I can be walking through any kind of neighborhood. I can walk through New York tomorrow and be like near bum pee. And I'll have the mask on. I'm like, I take the mask, put the mask back on. It works. But unfortunately, it also sucks because if you're walking near food you want to smell, You don't get any of
handball
that.
court if they're doing the handball court grilling.
Yeah, I talked about like 2 weeks ago. At our local park, there are guys who play handball on the handball court. And in the handball court, towards the back, towards the gate,
where the guy sits who guards the park guard.
Yeah, they're grilling steaks. Now, they're not over where the grills and hibachis are. They're literally on the handball
I
court.
think the one who was doing like a filet mignon.
And so I'm like, what is, because we were in the car. And I started to smell it.
Kobe beef Kobe.
So then I'm like, I have to follow the smell.
Immediately jumped out of the car. I've never seen you act so fast.
But here's the deal. When I got out of the car, I put a mask on to be safe. And when I had the mask on, I'm like, wait, what is the smell? And then I had to pull the mask below my nose to be, oh, there's the meat.
David, you run from danger. I've never seen you run to it. So that's why I knew it had to be food related.
Oh, it had to be food related. It's either that or I hear the ice cream truck man. The beloved ice cream truck, and then it's like, ice cream! Not that I can't buy ice cream in the supermarket. Not that as a 57-year-old man, I can't have ice cream like for breakfast if I really wanted to.
But Mom, too, my mother loves that custard. She'll yell out custard.
Yes.
It's something about the custard, the way that the air's pumped into it.
It's Mr. Softy. It's a Mr. Softy truck, which, is so magnificent. In this neighborhood, first of all, there's the big kosher sign on it, which I don't care about, but I just love the idea of an ice cream truck with, like, giant letters, kosher.
He's marketing.
And Softy, as opposed to the other truck that just sells basically what you get in a supermarket, like hard, old ice cream bars and Good Humor and things. This is like, ooh, and pouring out, it's soft, it's twirly.
And he always gives you the twist.
Well, I asked for the twist, yeah. And I asked for sometimes the brown crunchies on it.
Oreo,
they make it like a Carvel cake. Yeah, the Oreo too. So, yeah, old Dave, if I'm in the park and I hear that music or I smell that meat, I'm out like a shot. But the thing about Tuesdays, so I get an Uber to work, and then coming home, I don't want to bother anybody. I want to just get home. But at the same time, it was a really nice day. So I figure, why not? I've never done this yet. I've been working there over a year. Let me walk home, because I'm only about 3.5 miles from door to door. And I do. And it was a lovely walk, but it started me thinking about walking and how walking from my office to Sunrise Highway was really interesting. Like, only because I've never done it.
Oh.
So I'm like, wow, this is really going fast. This took me like 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
Just to get from here over, not to the railroad station on Sunrise, but where the trestle is, on Sunrise, towards there.
My mom asked if you took the train.
Yeah, no. I just went. And I'm like, oh, this is, and I passed this. I was so tempted to stop in all these stores and places, but then I realized I didn't want to carry anything I buy. Yeah, unless I don't want it to get dark as I'm walking. So I go, and then I realized once I hit Sunrise.
And you never text people to let you know they're going to be late.
Anywho, you had to know I was going to be, because I get home. I can get home somehow.
You didn't tell me you were walking home.
Well, I felt like it. I decided like 5 minutes before I left work, I think I'll walk. I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know if it would take like 45 minutes or an hour and a half. It took just over an hour. But the mental thing is, once I hit Sunrise Highway, I was like, at that point, it was not quite half the trip was done. But then it became a big bore. At that point, I was like, because I knew it. Because I'm walking this, I'm waiting for this traffic light, and then slogging along. Had the whole trip been new, I think it would have felt like 10 minutes, the whole walk. And I just wonder if it's like that for people. Like, because it's new, when you go hiking, when you go on a different trail, it's different from going up and down the same street. Because, I used to walk home from Valley Stream Rail very often when I would come back from a show at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'd get off the Long Island Railroad and come home, and I didn't want to spend like $10 for a cab. So I'd be like, okay, let me do this. And so when you do that often enough, it's like, oh,
even
what a
if you go
schlep.
to the same place, things appear new. There's new stores.
Well, but also that at that point it becomes mostly most of the rest of the trip is just suburban. It's not like it's not like you're walking down 9th Avenue.
You could have put on your phone and listened to music, boo-boo.
I absolutely could have. I could have. But I wanted to experience just this walk, and I wanted to throw that mental thing in there that people have had that experience where you walk part of the way, and it's like, ooh, oh, wow, this is going real quick. And I'm like, I drive this. I've been driving this for over a year, back and forth. But walking, here's this and this and this and there's people and that. But once you hit the place that you're overly familiar with, it's like, how much longer? Oh, it's getting warm. And now I gotta wait for these cars to turn, and this is a little dangerous here. All right, man. Anywho, that was part of my week here. What else did I want to talk? A couple of things. I wanted to say a farewell to a friend of the Daverhood. It was about a week ago now that Paddy Moloney of the Chieftains passed. He was sort of there were a bunch of guys in the Chieftains. He was kind of the face, the most visible. He had a very, very particular long Irish face with a big nose. I mean, you saw the Chieftains, your eye kind of immediately went to him. But he wasn't really the leader, kind of sort of a de facto leader of this Irish band, the Chieftains. And we had him on very near St. Patrick's Day, I guess about 3-4 years ago. He was, it was before we were having video, unfortunately, but he was a... What is that? He was a delightful guest. You can go into the archives and hear the interview on the show, and he talked about the Chieftains' music and his music, and he was writing music for a play that his daughter was doing, and talking about working on one of my favorite Van Morrison albums, Van Morrison and the Chieftains' Irish Heartbeat, which, if you've never heard, or if you haven't heard in a long time, is really the most, Clancy Brothers aside, the most wonderful of Irish pop kind of albums. It's terrific. Maybe the last totally great Van Morrison album that he ever did. But what do I want to say about it? I just remember my first encounter with the Chieftains is that my dad was a huge Clancy Brothers fan. He used to play their albums all the time and got me into them because the Clancy Brothers were friggin' great. Okay, so we had all the Clancy Brothers albums. We go to the record store to see if there's a new Clancy record because we thought we heard one or we saw an ad, or it might have been just a greatest hits thing. And the guy at the record store, the Clancy Brothers are good, but, you gotta, the Chieftains are where it's at. You gotta listen to the Chieftains.
Yeah.
So it convinced us. He's like, we'll get a Chieftains album. And we put on a Chieftains album, and it's basically, this is before they started doing all their crossover pop country work with other artists. It was really traditional Irish music, very pretty. A lot of bodhrán stuff, if that's how you pronounce it, and tin whistle things, and some orchestral stuff like from Barry Lyndon. And some of it was nice, but it just, I think we played the album once and put it aside. It's like, yeah, okay, it's more authentic. It's fine. They're great. They're great musicians, great instrumentation. If I really want to listen to this serious, it's always serious. Some of the music is very playful, but real trad Irish stuff, I guess I'll put this on. But with all due respect, and of course I talk ill of the dead, that's all I ever do on this show, to Paddy Moloney, Clancy's here for me, Chieftains there, even though musically and whatever else way, Chieftains here, Clancy's here, I don't care. But the Chieftains were great for what they did, and they've got a huge discography. And as I said, in terms of what they did with Van Morrison, that's a classic album that will stand, I think, for 100 years. So farewell to Paddy Moloney, our friend of the Daverhood, and really, really fine musician and a nice fella. So we're going to miss him. And then someone who wasn't in the show, but I have a story about him. A guy who, one of these people who manages to not float, that's not even the right word, who managed to carve out a niche for himself and stay in what he loves, even though there's no glory, or you
He
take
was dedicated.
little snatches of glory where you can, and there's very little money and there's very little anything, but he does what he can and did for quite a few years. I guess he must have been older than I thought he was. But there's
I said, huh.
a fella named Van Dirk Fisher.
Is that his real name?
It actually wasn't his real name. I think I have it. His real name was Kevin Hansen, and at some point he changed it to Van Dirk Fisher, which is a much more memorable name, isn't it, than Kevin Hansen. A black man, I'm presuming a gay black man, I don't know, who started a theater company 40 years ago called the Riant, the R-I-A-N-T, the Riant Theater. And it was devoted, we're talking about now, every friggin' theater is like, oh, let's put on something that's trans or gay or black or Latinx. The catching up. It's just like, this is what has to be now. This is what we must put on now to show that we're so woke. He was doing that in 1981, in 85, 86, because it was these were the people. It wasn't giving sop to the woke masses. I was saying, oh, yes, we care about all these different cultures, and we of course we want to hear their voices. Let's put on all these plays now. No, he was doing it because
He was just ahead of his time.
It was his people. It was his, he wanted black playwrights. He wanted women and Latinx and gender stuff. It was a place for it was a natural outgrowth of what he wanted to do at the Riant Theater. And it was a little off outfit. They had their space that they were for a bunch of years. And, it never got much press, never got much love, never got much anything. I remember going to see, because I talked about this in The Miracle of Long John's, the worst one-act play I've ever seen in my life, and that's saying something, was part of a one-act evening that they were doing at the Riant Festival fairly early in their run. And it was just this play that was trying to demonstrate the life of someone with very serious obsessive-compulsive disorder. And how do you do that? Well, you show the character on stage.
Oh, Stan gave you some love. You got some love.
Thank you, Stan.
Laughter. Stan gave you love.
You show the person on stage going through OCD and being unable to leave.
Monk?
Huh?
Like monk?
Worse than, monk, worse, right? Because people, it's a serious condition. People have a mental thing that almost keeps them from living any kind of life, So here's this character on stage and wants to, go out of the apartment, but before this person can, they have to touch and make sure all the stove burners are off. And she's going 1, 2, 3, 4 burners, 1, 2, 3, 4 burners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and she does, and then she walks away from the stove and it's has to come back, 1, 2, 3, 4 burners, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is a sad thing, and I'm sure it's a very true thing for a lot of people with OCD, but there is nothing dramatic about it. There are tons of things that are terribly annoying about it.
Oh, wow.
So you just have this character going 1, 2, 3, 4 burners, 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 and then coming and half of a one act that was probably 20 minutes long and felt like an hour and a half. And now, if you're D.W. Griffith, right, or Steven Spielberg, what you do is you take.
Edit.
Well, not only edit, you take that character. Let's say.
Director.
Huh?
Have a director.
It's the piece itself. You could take a character like that, as monks people would, and say, okay, here's this character, has this mental thing of having to do this OCD, but oh God, the apartment's on fire, right? There's a fire coming out of the bedroom, and they need to leave, but they can't leave without touching the burners. But they're in such a panic that they have to, by the time they hit the door, and now they have to knock on the doorbell before they can do. So now, there's drama. It may still be annoying drama, but it's you want to scream at this person, get over it. Just get out of the house. Get out of the house. There's.
Man could take them out or fire woman.
But if you just show somebody going 1, 2, 3, 4 burners, 1, 2, 3, to show what crazed life they lead, that makes an audience member want to shoot his or herself. him or herself. So, or sorry, let's be woke. Itself, their self, they self. So, worst one-act play I've ever seen. And I think I literally slumped in my chair after it was over. But I talked to Van Dirk Fisher, the artistic director of the Rion Theater, and he was, and I was honest with him. And I wrote a review of the thing, but he was always the most gracious. He didn't acknowledge that the play sucked. They're not going to do that, but he acknowledged my gut reaction to it being a terrible play, without indulging me and without also
resistance,
and without shouting at me and saying, "Who are you, asshole? You're a critic. What do you know?" Yeah, he was just like, "Well, I'm sorry you didn't like that play. I hope you like some of the others, and please come see more of our." I almost never went back because I saw one other show there that was a musical about black life and drugs and urban whatever, and it was terrible too. I mean, I imagine a lot of work in their early years was terrible. Fine.
Maybe
fine.
It just wasn't your cup of tea.
That too. Urban street life, and so forth, to an extent will have an interest, but if it's just like not well done, or there's just a whole bunch of screaming and shrieking, it was like, get me out of here. But it was wrong of me not to come back 5 years later, 10 years later, and see more of their one-act plays. Because the lovely thing about one-act plays is you hate them, they're gone, and then right after it can be something completely different. It may still be low budget. It may still be, not Broadway or off-Broadway level, but the horrible thing you just saw, that's gone. And it's a whole different author. So maybe it may not be great, but this might be, I sat through 20 minutes of horror. This will be a bit better.
It's like a potpourri or like a blender of different stuff. Remember we saw Peter Schneider's son who just rocked back in the chair and the fourth in the chair?
Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I didn't know it was his son. It was one of my professors at that point, son.
Yeah. So I apologize, I guess, posthumously to Van Dirk Fisher for not giving his...
I think you're giving him he must be very centered, or he must have been very healthy and had his ego in check that he could take criticism without being offended. Yeah. I think that is, for an artist, is exceptional.
And to persevere in a theater...
Yeah, that's exceptional, to be so ahead of his time.
That the New York Times never, to my knowledge, covered that was, we would mention when I was at Playbill, I'd do a little story. So, the Rion Theater has like I would do a story for every theater that had some kind of show going on, but never a real profile or sending reviewers to things. It was just like, it's the Rion. They're doing their thing. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they afford rent. I don't know what the hell they're doing to afford anything that they do, even if it's low. And of course, he was getting grants and was doing all these things. God bless him. And maybe God is blessing him now for running a theater company for 3+ decades in New York, right? Off, whatever Broadway, but doing it and never giving up.
That's dedication.
Yeah. And it wasn't as if all the one-act plays or all the things they were doing were specifically black or of different cultures. It was just whoever. It was a theater company,
We saw a lot of these documentaries and stuff about like theater things. It's very difficult when you're a small nonprofit or a small company that doesn't have a lot of backing to run. I mean, he must have sacrificed a lot.
Tremendously. Yeah. But at the same time, I see him as kind of a Richmond Shepard character of...
progenitor.
He gets up on a whatever morning,
mentor,
opens the door to the theater, is like, I have a theater. We're like, doing shows.
Now, look what Tony's doing. Your friend Tony's doing it on a mega scale.
Our friend of the Daverhood, Tony Sportiello, and also our other friend of the Daverhood, Al Tapper, who's the money guy behind this, have bought the theater that Ken Davenport was running for a while over on 45th Street. They're gussing it up. They're going to try and make it a workable kind of a regional theater in an off-Broadway space. God bless him. And I hope to be very much involved, but fingers crossed. Let them try, let them do it. Let them succeed, right? With somebody that, the Lark Theater closed a week or two ago. that company closed. It's very tough times for off and off Broadway. Not that it wasn't always, but Broadway may be seemingly coming back. We're going to see how many of these shows that are opening in the fall with all this fanfare of Broadway reopening. We're going to see how many really, really survive without a lot of tourist trade and without, with how many people are still not so confident singing in the theater.
They won't get any subsidies. There's no COVID
Oh, they got.
subsidies.
Oh, if there weren't, they got millions.
Even the small ones?
The big ones got millions.
No, but I'm saying those are the ones who need it. The small ones need
I wonder.
it also.
I guess if they applied for grants, that was there for them too. But that was the thing. When the money runs out from all that windfall that all the Broadway producers got months into the pandemic, and when they really are just relying on butts in seats, it's going to be real interesting what the true fallout of the pandemic is and will be. I mean, one can hope, but we're going to be feeling the effects of this for a while. Right now, we're not. Right now, it's still like a rose-colored glasses time. Right now, it's, look, all the theaters are open again. All these shows that we thought were going to die in 2020, they just lay fallow. They slept for a year and a half, and now they're back. And look at all these people in the seats, and they're cheering just to be in a theater, and they don't mind wearing the masks, and they don't mind this, and they're going and this, and okay, great. Give it a few weeks. Let's see where we're truly at in terms of, and you know what? It's very possible, because look at what happened after 9/11, right? Theater closed for about 2 days. Broadway came back 3 days later. A few shows that were struggling a little bit anyway couldn't hang on. Other shows did hang on, and they hung on okay, even though no tourists, certainly no foreign tourists, were coming to New York for a year. No one was flying planes. No Italian person from Italy or Brazil was going to get on a plane to do a week in New York.
Well, maybe some people did.
Not enough. I mean,
not enough, yeah.
It took months, a couple of years, really, for that to react. So it had to rely on, and people didn't even want to get on, buses and Amtrak and rails, because you didn't know if there was going to be another terror attack. We're going to be at war. You stayed close to home. But New Yorkers were New Yorkers. It's like, okay, we'll go. It's New York. Yeah? And we did. And Broadway ended up coming back and making more money and having more stuff than it ever did, even pre-year 2000. So, we'll see, as they say. Be nice if they could work out rules with the union where they can keep prices, because if you look around now...
Yeah, how are prices?
I mean, you can't just go up to the box office. The prices are still the same. But if you look around to see Broadway shows for $40, $50, $60, and not $260, you can.
That's crazy.
It's good.
What is
That's
it?
what it is. It's good.
Well, I think, you know what? It's like, my thing about Elite. I mean, if you want people to really see stuff and enjoy it, you've got to bring down the ticket prices. I mean, there's no way, especially how many people, what's the unemployment rate during COVID? Like, people lost their jobs. People were getting evicted.
Yeah. Although there's also that other thing, and that's one of the reasons the real estate thing is that a lot of people didn't lose their jobs in COVID, and they have all this spare money that they haven't spent. And that's why they're going to restaurants more now, and that's why when travel really does pick up, people are going to be like, oh my God, I spent a year, and I would have taken this vacation, or I would have done this, or I would have gone to these sporting events, or would have gone to these, and I didn't. And so the money just stayed in my bank. I still got it. Oh, let's go. Let's get 5 tickets to Hamilton.
Yeah, but if it's like getting 5 tickets to Hamilton or paying your rent, people are going to pay their rent.
That's a certain portion of the population, for sure. Yeah. The population that will go to Broadway once every 2 years.
People go on their birthday or Valentine's Day or some big anniversary,
But what Broadway needs is not just the people who bring the quinceañera kids to Wicked.
Seasonal subscriptions?
No, Broadway doesn't do. The only theaters that do something like that would be Manhattan Theater Club. And
okay, like club.
Well, it's a club in quotes. It's an institutional theater on Broadway. So Second Stage probably has subscriptions. MTC probably. I know. I'm sorry. If you're not a theater person, this is getting very arcane. I apologize, but And Roundabout, probably.
Oh, I missed it. I missed you.
Yeah. So those three.
Why don't the off-Broadway houses do like subscription?
They do.
Yeah, because
The institutional off-Broadway houses do.
That's what I would do. Remember our friend in business school? He said the reason why we didn't have a dinner theater in the local, Greeley, and it couldn't make money is because it couldn't have a big subscription base.
Mm.
And he said that's the way you make money in smaller regional theaters. A business model.
Yeah. But also, it was back in the day,
yeah.
25 years ago, if you got, let's say, some family, like this couple, a couple would want to go to a local regional theater or a dinner theater. And they saw the season, and they'd be like, okay, we get dinner theater for the season. We're going to see 3 shows, and it's $180 for the 2 of us to see 3 shows with dinner for sure. And they give the theater company $180 up front.
Okay. Oh yeah. So they can fund their
front.
Stuff.
Yeah. And now this theater company might have something in the bank where they're getting, I don't know, 4% interest or whatever money they get. And they got this money that they can.
I think they have Tony the loan shark.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're doing.
But now, if you give somebody money up front, and there's nothing big deal.
But it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme because they can pay their actors today on their show they're running now and get through it with the hopes,
Yeah. Well, that's all that. All the theaters are Ponzi scheme.
If it were me, this would be my thing. Like, give your patrons of the theater, like Patreon, that community, give them some perks. So give them like a talk with the directors, or let them go to dinner with an actor, or let them, take care of a Teamster or whatever.
That's the VIP thing. That's the treatment that you either get with a school group, or if you want to pay $300 for a Broadway ticket, you get to go backstage. You get to, schmooze. You get
for the regionals too.
I imagine they do. I imagine there's all sorts of. You get a special program.
I think they get special seats, right? They get reserved seats.
Well, yeah, you get to choose your seat at the beginning. Yeah, if you like 6th row, first 2 on the aisle, and you pay for that, and for each show you're going to see there, or you pay a little more for flexibility, so that if you need to change last minute, you don't lose out. You can just change your ticket to another performance of that show. I mean, they build in all sorts of things in order to keep subscribers or visitors happy. If people will pay, they'll figure out some way to get money from those people. It took because Broadway was always slow on this. It took them decades to figure out. It's like, if we do this, we can get more. It isn't just selling merch in the back of the theater. There's other things we can do that people will pay for. So that even if we're not making all our money from the actual just typical buy a ticket or buy a ticket on TKDS or whatever, it's like buy a ticket and hey, we can sell you this.
Who gets the money from like the drinks? That goes to the theater?
I don't know if there's a split between them or if it just goes to the theater itself. I really don't know. I imagine merch they have to work out a thing.
The last place we were, was it Austin? Yeah, it was Austin where we went and they had like a buffet. We saw theater in Austin when we went for my conference, right?
I think I went to something. I don't know if you went to a show.
I can't remember.
Did I see the one about the... I'm thinking I went to... No, it wasn't that. Forgive me, I forgot. We went to something in Arvada, I think, about 4 years ago. Anywho.
Oh, yeah.
It is 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Time, here in the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You are watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. As I said, my wife, Joyce. It is our 820th episode of the program. We're calling it Turning Green. Duncan, we're just clearing our throats. We're just getting started here because we've got Melanie Greenberg coming in the Neighborhood to chat with Rabbi Sol Solomon. We have our yesterday theater quiz. No, not a theater, it's a trivia quiz. She's coming 10:30. Our yesterday trivia quiz. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned is coming up. Friends of the Daverhood as well. So we just want to tell you about that. We also want to remind you that, as I think I may have mentioned before, we keep every episode. Now, if you scroll on this Facebook page later on, you'll see last week's show, the show before, a show from 2 or 3 years ago. It takes forever to scroll on Facebook after a while. You just have to wait, and it's a big pain in the ass, but I'm glad it's there. But we've been on the air doing this show in one form or another long before we started doing these Facebook videos. We were doing this on terrestrial commercial radio. We were doing this on college radio. We got those archives going all the way back to 2002. So yes, we have just begun our 20th season of the show. 20th right here. So our first episode, our 50th, our 150th, our 750th episode, all you have to do is go to davesgoneby.com, search or scroll or load them up. They're there for free. The early shows are an hour or an hour and a half, and they're mostly scripted out. They're great. But then when we sort of relax, there's bunches of shows where we play a lot of music. Back when I was on college radio, I got the time and the rights to play music.
Marshall's birthday today.
Well, Penny Marshall, she's gone, but
No, would be.
So all of that is there, and you can either stream it right on your screen, or if you want to download it as an MP3, that's for some people, they don't want to touch or click because they don't want something going to their computer. You can just hit play, and it will play either the video, if it's from the past 4 years, or the audio. Just click and listen. Right at davesgoneby.com, and we even have a separate archive on the website that is interviews only. So we strip the interviews out of the full episodes. So if you just want to say, oh, I want to hear your interview with Al Tapper, or with Tony Sportiello, or I want to hear your interview with Judy Collins, or with the late Carol Channing, or Carl Reiner, or Charles Grodin, or with Patty Moloney. Just, type in the search box. It comes right up. Give a listen. We also put our archives on archive.org, archive.org, a nonprofit website that we're just happy to be aligned with. Castbox.fm, which is a great place to catch us on. If you just want to hear the audio, it's a podcast platform. Castbox.fm. Look for the Dave's Gone By channel. And reminding you, we have a YouTube channel called Dave's Gone By. Most of our stuff is there. Some of it has been muted and censored, quote unquote, because of rights issues on music we used to play. Whatevs. Go to davesgoneby.com. That's the best place. However, if you happen to be sitting in front of your television set on Tuesday evening, prime time, 9:30 in the evening, you can get an hour-long episode on Channel 20 of Altice Cable, of Long Island Cablevision, if you're in Nassau County. Channel 20, Altice Cable, 9:30 in the evening.
I just got a thing, special ticket offer. Book now for orchestra seats from $99, a David Byrne's American Utopia. So I guess they're coming down in price.
Yeah. I mean, I paid a little less than that, but when I went, because I didn't get press tickets, I really wanted to see it, and I went through one of these clubs I belong to and got less than that, but $99 to see David Byrne in concert in a 1,000-seat theater, not too shabby, and it's a wonderful show. So there you go. And I think that was one of the highlights, I was told, of the Tony Awards a couple of weeks ago. So there you go. Anyway, that's telling you about Dave's Gone By and where to watch us and see us for free. Everything is I don't know why I do it all for free. I probably shouldn't at this point, but I still do because we do it for love. Anyway, here's a segment that I love on Dave's Gone By. It has to do with columns. Well, I don't want to share. I'm going to hit share screen there.
Don't do that.
And I'm recording. Good. Well, there's a newspaper in the town from whence we came for a few years, the Greeley Tribune. Now, in the Trib, there are two columns, one of which has to do with phone calls coming into the police dispatch of Well County and people seeing weird things in their neighborhoods, and another is called 100 Years Ago, where they take items that were in the paper back in 1921 and share them again, because from our modern eyes, they're kind of cute or funny or nostalgic or just like, wow. So, with that wow in mind, please join us, won't you, for Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Ba-da-da-da, indeed we. Yes, Greeley Crimes Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. We do it pretty much every week here on Dave's Gone By. So, I've got the list of items that were in the Trib over the past couple of weeks. Are you ready? Are you ready to get criminalized, my darling? Here we go. A caller. Uh-huh. Oh, they're on 35th Avenue. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, my goodness. Well, yes, we'll look into it. A caller reported a man was screaming obscenities at the staff because he was upset his insurance company wouldn't cover his care.
Oh, God, there you go.
And what's interesting, I looked on the map, it's a Chevy dealership. So.
Welcome to America.
A caller on 11th Avenue. Yes, hello. Uh-huh. Oh, really? He was? Okay. Yeah, I'll alert the authorities. Caller on 11th Avenue reported a man who was sleeping in front of a sandwich restaurant. The man told the caller he was just waiting for the neighboring smoke shop to open up. What a shock. What a shock there. Would you sleep in front of a sandwich store?
Well, you know what? I'm sure if he was under the influence of the ganja.
Yeah. Because I'd be tempted because he might get some nice overnight smells, but sometimes that's when the rats would come out. I don't know. Different caller, same avenue. Caller on 11th Avenue reported. Really? A caller reported that a man was jumping up and down in the street with his pants down and making lewd gestures. And I thought my dad was dead. Well, there you go.
You sure wasn't you, buddy?
Oh, well, I do it in other neighborhoods. No, this is one of those that you have to really imagine. You have to put it in your mind to see how wonderful this is. This is a man on 29th Street reported that an owner of two large dogs, the owner harassed him after her dogs charged at him in his motorized wheelchair.
Oh, my Lord.
How'd you like to be attacked? That would, you know what would make me die of fright? If I were in a motorized wheelchair and I somehow ran over a beehive.
Oh, my God.
Or a wasp, which happened to like some golfer last week. They had to stop like the game and he had to be excused and stuff and get treatment because he somehow stepped on a beehive.
David,
yeah.
You would notice if you stepped on a beehive.
Oh, he noticed immediately.
Hold on, let me see what we have that's close.
He figured that out. Or it was worse. It was like a wasp's nest. There you are. But I think second to that would be if I were in a wheelchair and suddenly wild dogs were coming at me and prowling and snapping at my legs. The only good thing is I probably couldn't feel what they were doing to my legs.
No, you would. You don't know why they're in there.
Yeah. It's like, oh, there's a pit bull. Yeah, okay. Hey, you want the other one? It's fine. Just don't go above the thigh.
Well, I want to know, like, what store was that?
Wait, which
That they were.
This wasn't for a store. This was just on the street.
Oh.
The owner of dogs. Anywho, we're gonna do something old-timey now, because this is from 100 years ago in the Northern Colorado newspaper. There was a sports editorial. This year, the theme of the football conference is Beat Greeley. Isn't that always the theme of any teams that play our football team? Because Greeley High School was the conference champion, every team is using that theme. Even though Longmont and Loveland have teams that hate each other, they're both using Beat Greeley.
At least it bonded them, you know?
And the editorial says, "What are you going to do about it, Greeley football team?" lose for decades? I don't know. Anyway, this is the high school. This is not the university, but still. Oh, Hoggy. A Denver motion picture company is coming to Greeley to film the Weld County Fair. And they're going to emphasize the last day of the fair when schools from all around northern Colorado will bring children in dozens of school trucks, which will all be filmed at the parking lot. Remember when back in the day, FERPA didn't exist? Well, you're just like, oh, there's film trucks, let's bring the children. And then you could just go and film them and touch them, rape them. It was just like, it was 1921. Nobody thought about these things. It's like, hey, there's cameras, bring the kids. Good old times. However, old times or new times, this could happen at any time. A fireworks display in Boulder got out of control last night. One 2-foot rocket hit an employee of the farmer store in Longmont. He was cut on the stomach and will recover from home. Ugh. That's just like an
That seems ouchy. That's not a fun night. No, fun day or fun night.
And leave it to the old-time papers to editorialize with all the news that they're doing.
Of course.
This is kind of an oh ho 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 moment from the Greeley Tribune Republican, it was called, back in 1921. Quote, the word beer, B-I-E-R. Beer, like, a coffin thing, suggests sorrow and loss. So, for that matter, does the word beer. B-E-E-R. Get it? Get it? Sobriety? Get it? Good Lord. I need a little pick-me-up after that. Hun? Excitement. Unbelievable excitement! You know why? My friends, this came. Don't really care that much, but
Aw, he's nice.
he's all right. He's okay. He's fine. Got little shamrocks on his head. But ladies and gentlemen, he came with a friend. Brand new friend came in the mail from eBay this week. Look at him. He's got the tag. Got a beautiful blue ribbon. He's concerning some of the potatoes we've been getting recently.
Yeah, no, still.
He's beautiful shape. His eyes are pretty nice. No, I mean a little faded on the nose, but look at the coloration, the beautiful two-toneness. He's BIPOC.
He's got very good, he's well groomed.
He's beautiful potato, and he's just in time for a potato alert. How's this for your breakfast, folks? So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a potato alert. Chicago, this is from 100 years ago, Chicago was one of the first cities to serve lunch to children in the schools. The students will get soup or beans, 2 sandwiches of meat and, you know what, and milk or chocolate milk and dessert. And the cost, you want to take a wild guess to the cost per meal? Because remember, we're talking about soup or beans, sandwich with meat and...
I think 5 cents.
Give that lady a cigar. 5 cents per meal. Which I know was a lot more money back then in 1921. But still, wow. And Chicago is interesting. Chicago was the first place to do that. Anyway, okay, that was a potato alert because it involved potatoes. Let's also go elsewhere. Let's move elsewhere to what we do is we go past Greeley and northern Colorado and Evans and Longmont, and find a story or two from much further away. Could be from all over the world. Where are we going elsewhere on this edition of Greeley Crimes and Old Times? Oh my goodness, we're going all the way to Jersey City, New Jersey. We saw this. It's one of the greatest things ever. Let me play the audio on this because it's quite marvelous. Let's see if I can minimize this, and here it is. See if we can hear this, folks. It's like,
don't laugh. What is that?
Oh, that was you saying "don't laugh." Wait, where's here? Let's play it through the QuickTime. I shouldn't have played it through iTunes. I'll play it again.
Don't laugh.
That was you telling me not to laugh during the clip. But remember what this was.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, go ahead.
In Jersey City, New Jersey. And you probably saw this if you saw the newspapers in the New York Post this week. Man plunges 9 stories from a New Jersey high-rise, lands on a BMW, and survives. He was not in good shape, but a man jumped 9 stories, about 100 feet from a New Jersey high-rise building on Wednesday morning, like Wednesday week. The man crashed through the roof of the Beamer parked below 26 Journal Square in Jersey City. Then he stood up with a broken arm and asked, "What happened?" Onlooker Christina Smith told the New York Post, quote, she said, "I heard a big boom." And I didn't think it was a person at first. The back window of the car just busted out, exploded.
I would think it was an air conditioner. Like, remember years ago, the air conditioners, they fall out the window.
Oh, right, yeah.
I would think it's an air conditioner, maybe, or someone moving something, dropped something,
Yeah, but no, this guy landed on the car, bounced off the car onto the pavement, jumped up and started screaming. His arm was all twisted. It was like in the movie. She called 911, then took jaw-dropping video of the aftermath, including graphic footage, and it's pretty funny, of the man screaming in pain with upper body injuries. What? You want to hear the man's screaming in pain? I think I can. Can I play that for you? I think I can. Here we go. And it's an amazing thing, because the man should be instantly dead. And he wasn't. And he literally was able to sort of roll around, stand up, then sit down again, like, ah!
Remember his arm was all back?
Oh, yeah, that's the most horrible part of it. The video also shows a face mask strap still dangling from the guy's ear, despite falling roughly 100 feet. He was rushed to the hospital by ambulance, and last Thursday he was in critical condition. I haven't been able to find any kind of updates on this guy. The jumper refused to give cops his name and was not being cooperative as of Thursday afternoon. Well, considering he's probably on 1,000 grams of morphine and screaming, I can see him not being particularly cooperative. But, yeah. All I know is, if I end up doing theater again, I'm going to do either The Miracle of Long John's, or I work with Rabbi Saul on Shalom Dammit, or its sequel, and you don't want to applaud, and you don't want to go yay and laugh. I'll take this. Just an audience of people doing that.
So bad.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. What else? Well, that's our other elsewhere. Let's go back to some old times before we close out this edition of Greeley Crimes and Old Times on Dave's Gone By. Here we go. Greeley street pavers. Those companies are getting to work across the state. This week, they're putting in paved streets in Rifle, Colorado.
Here we go.
Here's a question for you. I think you'll get this one, babe. These Greeley street pavers are paving streets in almost every city.
Yeah.
Except which?
Really?
Of course, yeah, yep. They're leaving the dirt roads in Greeley, and they're going to pave Rifle. Oh, well. And you know what? When they got the job in Rifle, they were off like a shot. Get it? There you go. Catherine... Excuse me. I'm getting to a point where I can't read the words here. Catherine Ruth Steiney, 13 months old, was mistakenly registered in the Weld County Baby Show.
What? 12?
She's 13. Months, not age. I mean, not years. Take a breath. Here we go. 13-month-old baby mistakenly registered in the Baby Show as a foreign entry. Well, she was born in Greece, but is registered an American citizen. Her mother was born in Oregon, and her father, though born in Greece, is a naturalized American citizen too. Even so, they lynched him. But gotta keep those records tight at the Baby Show. Do they still have baby shows? Do they do that?
I think it's like the Jean Benet Ramsey. They have those things, I've seen it.
Well, sure, for like 5-year-olds and that. Who's that woman? That Abby Dance Moms thing. But I'm talking like 9-month-olds. Bringing them and just like, who's got the cutest little 9-month-old baby? It's like, nothing good can come of that.
Well, I think I hate to say it, but I think a lot of that is parents' unfulfilled dreams.
Oh, well, sure.
If you want to capitalize off your child, I don't know. I would put you in a contest because you're pretty.
Thank you, dear. No, if it was a most talented baby contest.
I would put you in a Davy contest.
Well, yeah. Oh, yes! I would still probably lose. I'd probably lose to some cute little tyke with a full head of hair.
No, you don't win.
And some talent. It's like, ooh, look how he spins the mobile. And it's like, he can do that. It's like, I'm like whacking at it. Baby's just going like, toing, toing. Ooh, our winner.
Yeah, but you could poop better.
Oh, yes, I could. Yes, I could. Let's do some more stuff from Greeley old times. At Johnstown School, several cases of diphtheria among the students were reported this week. Most of the cases are of the light form.
What is a light form of diphtheria?
I don't remember the color? The stool color is different?
I think that's what you call it, an oxymoron. Right? How can that be?
And I don't know why this goes together so beautifully, but here we go. Still about the diphtheria. The Pie Social will still be held at the school under the auspices of the senior class.
Nice.
So despite a diphtheria outbreak,
that's going to party.
And you know what? The more things change. It's like, yeah, COVID and Delta are on the uptick in Colorado. Let's keep the football team going. Let's have classes in person. Let's just do all of that. It's like, it's just a pandemic, And 100 years ago, we'll do the pies. It's diphtheria. In Cornish, I didn't know there was a Cornish, Ora Davis had the misfortune of having his finger, first of all, this is a man. Ora Davis's finger was broken last week while leading his mule behind the car. Yes, this was definitely 1921. At about the same time, Clyde Brundy had his foot badly sprained by a truck running over it. Greeley was an interesting place back then. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a broken finger from a mule, or would you rather have your foot run over by a car?
Broken finger, because there are more bones in the foot.
But the weird part is, his foot was sprained.
I don't buy that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they had what we call the X-ray machine.
Right.
Because if you had an X-ray machine...
His foot was sprained like this in 5 places.
Sprained,
right? Yeah.
I think it fell off his ankle. That's the big sprain.
Well, the rain and sprains stays mainly on the plains of Colorado. It does. It does indeed. Well, anyway, let's do one more. And, let's see, shall I do an old? I'll do a newie. A man on 2nd Street reported stolen property and said he was being stalked by people in stores. Oh, no, sorry, no, my fault here. He reported stolen property and said he was being stalked by people in stories. He also said something about the Bachelorette TV show and how he will be arrested by police if he doesn't pick the right person.
Yeah, that could happen.
It could happen. That could happen. Yeah. And it happened right here on Dave's Gone By as part of Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool.
He really wasn't.
I'm sure that you agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi!
Yippee-yi, 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 yi, yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Crimes and Old Times is just one of the many fun things we do on every episode of Dave's Gone By. For more information, go to davesgoneby.com. Stay with us because we have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming up and our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz featuring our great friends Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward. They'll be joining us in half an hour or so, but they will be joined by our guest in the Daverhood, an actress, a comedian with a rather involved and interesting life story that she's going to be putting on stage at the United Solo Theater Festival. Her name is Melanie Greenberg, and boy, oh boy, I've got tons of questions for her, but I'm not going to be the one asking them, alas, and she is alas, so that honor is going to fall to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. Rabbi Sal, he will ask, I guess, some of the questions that I would ask. Let's bring him into the Daverhood for the interview with Melanie Greenberg. Yeah! Curl my penis. Check my prostate. Anoint me with gefilte fish oil. Die. Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. Oh, don't squeeze the curl too hard. It'll hurt. There we go. Wait, what did you do here? What the hell is that? What's the matter with you? That's better. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here on this Shabbos morning in October. Wait, here we go. Oh, yeah, she is cute. Let's do that. Anywho, with us in the Daverhood is a lovely Jewess. Her name is Melanie Greenberg. By the way, you're gonna have to. Oh, you did unmute. You're fantastic, Melanie. Let me tell you a little about Melanie Greenberg and her show, her one-woman show that she will be doing at the United Solo Theater Festival in New York for 3 nights. One is already sold out. You can't even get tickets for it, but the other 2 you can go to. It's called The Elephant in the Room. It's about a nice Jewish girl. You had me with Jewish. And her psychedelic odyssey, this is her words, that goes from Yale to alcoholism. That sounds like a natural progression to me, actually. Pentecostal churches and mental illness. Those also go together. She is a comedian and actress. Her motto is, when life gives you lemons, make comedy. I say when life gives you lemons, trade them for etrogs, but that's just me. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you please welcome to the Daverhood, Melanie Greenberg. Shalom, Melanie.
Shalom. Good Shabbos to you.
Good Shabbos to you, too. So you know the lingo. So
I know the lingo.
Despite the church stuff, how Jewy were you growing up? Were you middle class, conservative, not at all? What?
I was like, break the Yom Kippur fast with a bagel and a schmear kind of a Jew, I I have kids myself, and what I am sort of insisting on in our own household is that they each do a minimum of a year in Hebrew school, because
Yes!
for me, right, because I feel like I'm not particularly religious, but the experience I had growing up was that I always felt very comfortable in a synagogue. And now I go to synagogue and I hear the music. I'm mostly a high holiday kind of a Jew, and I feel at home. So that's the kind of Jew I am, where it's like synagogue feels like home. I have self-deprecating humor and I eat bagels.
You please come to my shul. The music on the high holidays, everybody was kung fu fighting. We all sing along with that. We love it. It's fantastic. Boogie Oogie Oogie we sing. We do some Wagner too, just to piss some people off. But it's a wonderful thing. What is your Hebrew name? Do you know?
God, I don't know my Hebrew name. So I guess that tells you a little something about.
Were you bat mitzvah?
I was bat mitzvahed.
What was it? Do you have any memories of your bat mitzvah?
I wore a terrible pink lace dress.
So did I. Amazing.
It was the early 90s. I didn't know any better. Gosh, I remember. Well, I mean, it's funny and it fits with it. In my era of bat mitzvahing in LA, where I grew up, it was like you had a theme. Your party had like a big theme, and then every table would be decorated according to the theme. And my theme, being the big theater dork that I was and still am, was Broadway musicals. So every table was like the Phantom of the Opera table or the Les Miserables table. And that was, so yes. that probably tells you everything you need to know about me growing up.
At my bar mitzvah, we had an end game table where we just had people in garbage cans singing there. It was wonderful. I loved it. Now, what's interesting, though, is that it sounds like, you lived in LA, you had a nice bat mitzvah, you had a nice Jewish upbringing, seems pretty comfortably middle-class Jewess, and yet you ran away from home when you were 15 or something like that? Did you have a bad... What the hell happened that suddenly led you on a weird life path?
I mean, it's interesting, and that's part of what my show tries to untangle, is in many ways my own confusion about my own narrative, because there was nothing about this LA, Broadway musical bat mitzvah that would have indicated, as you said, the path that I would go on. And, I think for one thing, part of it, there's nature and there's nurture. I think I just kind of came into the world with existential angst, from as...
Hello, you're Jewish. Hello.
Exactly. So, I think part of it was this feeling of what is all of this and why am I here? And this sort of like unease about the fact that I didn't know. I think part of it was sort of a hyper exaggerated mythological thing that happens between, a daughter and her mother, and this sort of like need for separation, which, I think mother-daughter, I was going to say mother-daughter relationships are fraught, but so are father-son relationships. And I mean, it's all just, we come into the world and we develop these relationships and then we spend the rest of our lives trying to untangle them in therapy. So I loved my parents and my parents were wonderful parents, but I felt this very intense need. I felt misunderstood. I felt I didn't know what was going on and I wasn't getting answers in my environment. I felt sort of a mismatch with the environment where I was living, first on the west side of LA and then the Upper East Side of New York. And I felt like I needed separation.
But you couldn't have held out till you were like first year of college, when kids get that separation anyway and they move away. I mean, that's what they do. Because when did you break? How old were you?
I was 15 when I ran away from home.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to imagine after hearing the tale about my Broadway musical bat mitzvah, but I wasn't a kid who particularly fit in that well.
Hello, you're Jewish!
I'm Jewish and I love Broadway musicals. This was not the recipe for a happy adolescence. So I I was just so miserably unhappy in my own skin and in my environment. And, like I said, I was living in a household where I felt, as I think many adolescents do, misunderstood. And I spent a summer in Colorado where I met like this group of friends, as all good
Do I hear the
Jews do.
word
They
cult?
take their
Friend cult?
there is a cult in my story, but that comes later. And I was just like, this is my home. These are my people. I feel understood. And for like a kid who spent most of her childhood and life feeling disconnected and misunderstood, like that felt so urgent to me. It felt, and I was 15. I didn't have a great, I talk a lot about like kind of the adolescent mind. It's not a mind that's thinking long term. It's not a mind that's 3 years from 15 in college. That felt interminable. Are you kidding me? And I had no idea at that time, I think, of the consequences of my actions and also of, the impact it was going to have on the people around me.
Now, by the way, I will remind people what you're leading into is the story that you tell in your one-woman show. It's called The Elephant in the Room. Because so far it sounds okay. It sounds like, okay, you left home, you were 15, but you found a good group of friends who were nice and they protected you and you were okay. Were you working? I mean, what the hell? How did it?
Well, I never made it there is the thing. I had gone there over the summer with my parents and I ran away because I needed to be with these people. They were my people. And I never made it there. I went on sort of this wild journey that landed me in Texas. And that's where I met the Born Agains. It was actually a very lovely family. I mean, I was extremely lucky. I met this woman on the train from New Orleans to Texas, and she had me come stay with her family, and they took me to church, and I was a spiritual seeker, and I saw people speaking in tongues. I saw people shouting. I saw people, my whole life, I was just looking for certainty, for someone who seemed to know what it was all about. And these people, I was like, they get it. They feel it.
If you want to come see people shout, just come to my place for dinner on a Thursday night. I'm shouting. My wife is shouting. The children are shouting. You get more shouting than you'll need for 10 years.
I could have saved myself a lot of trouble if I'd just gone to your house instead.
Please explain to me though. It's this thing of I don't know how this happens of going to just walking into a building, normal quote unquote people, for a religious service of some sort. And then are they faking it? Are they mentally? How do you suddenly start rolling around going, gibba gabba gubba labba gubba gabba gabba? How is that? Is it real? Or are they making believe that they're doing this so they fit into the Pentecostal thing and they show off a little? Was it real?
It's funny. I actually just asked this. I recently saw the Tammy Faye movie. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
And there's a scene early on where she walks into Pentecostal church and she starts speaking in tongues. And I remember I turned to my friend and I said, "What is that? Is that some kind of is it like a group delusion?" I think people in that moment must feel they're channeling something to the point where they're convincing I don't think people are intentionally faking. Maybe some are, but I think
really, I don't know how that happens. And by the way, there's someone obviously in your place who's speaking in dog tongue right now.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I have many of them. They're part of a group delusion themselves.
The messed up thing is that's a cat. So I've got to tell you something. Just kidding. So all right. So you're falling again, as you say, in a lucky way because they're a nice family, they're good people, and you did. But you never. You wanted to believe, you tried to believe, but you never rolled around spoken tongues or had like you felt a spirit or Jesus or God or Allah or Sherman Hemsley went through you. No,
I didn't feel it, but what I felt was their certainty. And they actually arranged, it never happened because I ended up going home. They arranged for my baptism while I was living with them. And I thought, this is great. I'm going to get baptized and then I'll be speaking because I wanted that. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for that conviction. I walked into, you could have at age 15 walked into that church and looked around and been like, this is insane. But I was like, this is amazing. These people are connecting with something and I want to connect with that,
So why did you go home before you were, thank God, baptized?
Thank God. From Bob Mitzvah
Once
to
you get that
baptism.
water on you, that shit don't wash off. I've never forgiven Bob Dylan for that. It's just like, oh, what, Billy Graham's Pool, you have to do that? The most famous Jewish songwriter in the world, and you gotta do that, you asshole? Anyway, sorry.
So what happened was, like a nice Jewish girl, it was Jewish guilt. I called a friend of mine to check in, and she told me that my parents were understandably distraught. And I felt really badly. And so I decided to go home.
Oh.
It was like that adolescent moment of like, oh, I am not you're sort of a narcissist at that age. Especially if you're unhappy, all you can see or feel or experience is your own pain. And then suddenly I was reminded.
Hello, we're Jewish. Okay, we got. Is that your husband laughing in the back? Because I hear somebody laughing there besides the dog. Is there somebody?
No, I have no husband. Is it my own laughter?
Maybe the echoing reverberations of your giggling and the dog too. It's both.
I have a very robust laugh.
Yes, indeed you do. Forgive me for.
Hello, I'm Jewish. I'm catching on, right?
So here's the deal. But at that point, it's kind of a pretty normal story. So you ran away, you came back. But even then, you had a much more weird life to come, as opposed to just, I'm back home. I've gone through this stage I went through, and now I'll go to college. I'll meet somebody. I'll live with somebody for a while. I'll get a job, and boom. No, with you, more crap.
Well, I think that's what I thought would happen. I think I thought I'd come home and everyone would be like, well, that was crazy. But, and then my life would go on. But that's not how it ended. I mean, I ended up setting off a chain of events by making that choice to run away that would impact the rest of my life. I came home and my parents were worried about my mental health because I had run away from home and they're Jewish. And I was hospitalized. Okay. Because I think the concern was that I was bipolar and that I'd done something really sort of insane and off the rails and that I needed help. And that hospital, I mean, what can happen often is that, and this is not me, there are places that exist that help people with mental health issues that are wonderful. But what can happen is that once you kind of get into the system of institutions, you just stay in that system because one diagnosis leads to another. And you also sort of start to act out the diagnoses you've been given.
Okay. Shul works the same way. You take a normal person and then they turn into me.
And then suddenly, yes, exactly.
Wow. So you've lived that life. Now, it's interesting though. How long have you lived what most people would now consider kids, a nice little place, you're doing theater, how long have you lived, quote unquote, normally?
I mean, it's interesting. And I mean, I think this is really what I am. I don't really know that. I don't even know what normally is. And I don't know if anyone's really living normally. I mean, I've had kids for as long as I've had kids, which is 11 years, but it was in the past few years. Oh, thank you. It was in the past few. Do you have kids?
Oh my God. I have 21 and a half children. And they all hate me. Please. Wait, did you have? You say 11 years. You had twins then?
No, 11 is my eldest. Yes, but I don't think it's interesting. In writing the show, I really learned that these events of my earlier life ended up impacting the rest of my life. I don't know that I ever did really live in a normal adulthood.
Even now, would you say what you live now is, a typical, you go to Starbucks, you look at what they charge for a coffee, and you're like, God damn it, you pay it anyway. No. I mean, is that your life now? Or is it still...
I'd say, look, and I think this is part of, you asked this question of why I ran away. I think I've always been by nature a little bit unconventional, which is why some of the environments that I lived in never really felt like a fit for me. So I don't know that I am or ever will be living a completely normal adult life. I think I'm becoming sort of more comfortable with my own reality as a normal person or abnormal person, or I think maybe just more aware that everyone else is less normal than they maybe think they are.
There you go. I like that explanation. So what gave you the impetus to look back on your, not just to look back on your life, because anybody in therapy is going to be doing that every week, but
Right.
to write it down and turn it into theater?
Well, I think that's what it was. A few years ago, I went like sort of on a real journey to figure out, just to sort of make sense of my life. I mean, like I've been in therapy my whole life. I talk about how in my household therapy was almost its own religion growing up. But I just decided that like there were things in my life that weren't working, and ways in which I didn't actually feel like I was settling into the kind of adulthood I wanted to have. And I wanted to make sense of that. So I sort of did a deep dive into my life and making sense of that. And part of that was writing my story, and in a way rewriting and reclaiming my own narrative, because I think the narrative I always had around myself was that there was something wrong with me. And so I did this crazy thing, and then I kept getting diagnosis after diagnosis. And I think part of writing my story was rewriting that narrative just for myself.
And the choice, though, also not to make it a monograph or a short story, or a nonfiction short story, but I want to perform this as a performative performance thing with performing. When did that kick in?
Well, that was also part of the whole process, because part of what I think I realized, in this journey of self-discovery, if we're going to, find a really corny way to say it, was that I abandoned at some point in my life during all this my one true love, which was theater and performance. And, because I had a kid who has a Phantom of the Opera table at her bat mitzvah. That kid has a dream of being on a Broadway stage one day. And at some point during the midst of all of this, this hospitalization and this diagnosing and, sort of the trauma that created, and then the aftermath of that trauma, which was alcohol and drug abuse, I lost all of that. And so it became very obvious to me as I began this journey that what have I always wanted? It's to be on a stage,
I have to ask, what was your drug of choice? Because alcohol is, anybody can get, you can go on a thing, but
Right.
And when you say drug abuse, you don't think marijuana. What the hell were you on?
Yeah, well, it was a period of my life where I was on pretty much anything I could get my hands on. It was a short period, which I now, have sort of come to recognize as a reaction to trauma rather than actual addiction. But, I did cocaine, I did I was just really trying not to be in my own body in whatever way I could.
Did any of them work? Did any of them, maybe they're terrible for you and they'll kill you eventually, but were any of them like, this was actually pretty good and I hate giving this one up?
I mean, I think it was all of it. I think it was the combination of, I have a line in my show. I talk about how one time in rehab, I smoked crack and I did heroin. And then, the line is, the irony is that I had never done that before, nor have I since, and speaking from this limited personal experience, neither the crack nor the opiate epidemics are a huge mystery to me. I mean, these substances make you feel good for the moment that they're that's why these epidemics exist. So it was hard, I think, to let go of them all.
That's how I feel about herring and cream sauce. I know it's going to give me gas. I know it's going to give me a little heartburn and thing, but when I first opened the jar and I plug, oh my God, and there it is. You can't resist.
But that's sort of the human condition, right? It's like this, these things that, like, what makes us feel good in the moment isn't always what's going to make us feel good with a capital G, in the long term, and sort of weighing that all the time. And it could be herring and cream sauce. It could be binge watching a TV show till 3 a.m, or it could be, an opiate.
Or reading Torah. Let's not forget that one.
Or reading Torah. Yes. Yeah. The seedy underbelly of reading too much Torah.
So now you have a one-person show, and you're going to be doing that. Can I call you, by the way, a woman? Can I call it a one-woman show?
Yes.
So
yes.
I have to call it. It's a one-thing show. It's a one-it show. No, it's a one-woman show.
It's a one-woman.
You put it together. How long was the first draft? I'm always wondering about this. Was it like?
Well, I mean, it's so much longer. I mean, because, it's interesting because I had to really boil down my show to, I have one of those in my house. My daughter just got one in her first week of Hebrew school. You know what my daughter said about Hebrew school? She keeps going, she goes, every week she didn't want to go the other day. And I said, you've loved it the last couple times. She said, that's because every time I've gone so far, they give you something. I think they just bribe us to keep us there. Like, yeah. She's 8 and she gets it already. I'm
sorry to interrupt. So, but you were saying, what the hell is my question?
Right. So how long was the show? Well, it's interesting because, I was in this, in this hospital scenario. And then after the hospital, I got sent to this, we talked about the cult thing, this really crazy school that was actually a spin-off of a cult. It was for bad kids. It's been shut down. There were lawsuits. And in both of these environments, there were so many kind of like interesting stories that didn't feed my overall narrative, but were just interesting, and there's an expression in writing, I assume you're familiar with it, it's killing your babies. Like I'd have this story that was just hilarious, but wasn't driving my bigger narrative forward, but it was so hard to get rid of them because it was either interesting in sort of a freakish way or it was funny.
Do me a favor, tell me a story that couldn't make you, for time and for narrative structure, that was in there, but that you took out that you still love. Tell me a story that would have been in the show if there was room.
Well, one of the things I talk about is how at the school that I went to, one of the weird things about it for me right when I got there was that everywhere you looked, people were cuddling with each other. Which is, yes. It's
cuddling, clothed in a... Not in a, but in a, or cuddling.
Well, it was all very weird. Like everyone was clothed and it wasn't supposed to be sexual, but adults were doing it with students, which is obviously everything you think it is. And it was weird. There were piles of it. I know we need the Torah to defend us again. I mean, basically everywhere you looked, and then sometimes there'd be someone crying in the middle of the circle. It was like, it was sort of, like I said, it was a spinoff of a cult that was sort of but it was really odd. You'd find there were like 10 kids and they'd all just be like kind of lying on top of each other in these cuddle piles. And then there'd be an adult kind of thrown into the mix and everyone stroking each other's hair and cuddling. It was a very weird. So that was like interesting in a really freakish way. And everyone thought it was fascinating, but it didn't serve the larger narrative.
As you said, eventually they closed this place. They stopped it. Did you ever notice from that it wouldn't stop at cuddling? I mean, did you ever see anything where it was underage, whatever, or non-consensual? Or really, was it just weird because we're uptight American Jewish people and a bunch of people hugging each other feels weird, but they didn't really do anything wrong?
Well, I think what retrospectively, so much of what happened at this school, because a lot of like the therapeutic practices they used are part of therapeutic practices that I've encountered as I've gotten older, and that but it was the lack of consent. It wasn't like cuddling was optional. It was sort of like, this is what we're doing here, get with the program. And so it's like, I should have had the right to say no because I was an uptight Jewish kid at age 15, even if it was only because I was uptight, right. To be forced into a situation. And frankly, at the end of the day, like there should never be a scenario where adults are cuddling with children. And there was also, where there's smoke, there's fire. There was sexual abuse at the school.
Yeah, I know that there's a synagogue run by a rabbi I know that has fisting days. And I'm just like, no, that they should not be. Apparently, there's a form that you can fill out where you can opt out. Oh, but only on Yom Kippur. But the rest of the time,
I mean, that's there has to be the opt-out form. Right, that's sort of my feeling about everything. It's do what you want, but as long as everyone's on board and it's not harmful to anyone.
Now I asked this question. Oh, I'm sorry. I asked this question to people who do these autobiographical kinds of shows and things and monologues and so. So in doing it, in finally writing this all down, and now in editing it and tweaking it and making it artistic and performing it, is there catharsis, or is there just, no, it's always going to be there, the trauma will always be there, now I've just happened to have written it?
Oh, it was extremely cathartic, and actually so much so that I'm very interested in, I'm trying to set up like a nonprofit where I've done nonprofit work in the past with organizations that do healing work around, healing trauma with storytelling. And, that was very compelling to me in and of itself, and part of the impetus for writing my own story. But I really believe in this. I really believe that like writing and re-understanding and then sharing your story at either an individual level or a collective level is extremely healing and extremely cathartic.
All right. Let me ask, have you performed the show anywhere? Have you workshopped it? Have you done it for friends, readings? Or you just going to...
I did a workshop of it up here. So I'm living in the Berkshires now.
What do you do for a living? If you're making theater like this, you look like you're living rather nicely. If you don't mind my asking, do you have a day job?
I don't. I mean, I have in the past. I don't right now.
God bless. Yeah.
Yeah. God bless. Right. Right now, I'm just, I'm fortunate enough for the moment to be able to focus on this and my kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you? No, I don't know. I am really just how you raise two kids solo. I'm guessing.
Yep.
And I think you're keeping private certain that you don't want to tell me how you're affording to live and make theater in, especially post-pandemic. So I think it's wonderful that you're doing that, by the way. So, but you were talking more about, trying out the material, if you will, and doing a workshop up in the Berkshires.
Yep. I did a workshop up here in the Berkshires, and it was great. I was actually, a friend of mine invited me to do it, COVID style in her backyard, and about 40 people came. And it was really wonderful. It felt good. I mean, I think that's part of the, there's a whole thing that happens, right? Where you're like, I want to reclaim my childhood dream of performing. And then suddenly you realize you've signed yourself up for this thing. And are you even any good at it anymore? And I think the experience I had when I got on the stage was sort of it's like riding a bike, it all clicked in. And like any theater loving kid who needs attention, as soon as that audience got in front of me, it was like, hello.
Yes.
Love me. Let me show you the ways.
Did you get any either interesting advice, or did people tell you their stories? Did you get any suggestions that like, oh, that's a good idea, I'll add that or cut that from doing
all of that? Really? All of that. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that's happened every time I've done this, because I've also done it in sort of smaller workshop settings, is that people do come up to me and start telling me their story, because this show is very much, it's very raw. I leave nothing. I mean, it's just very open. It's very raw, but it's kind of cool because I think that makes people feel like, hey, I can come up to her and start telling her my things too. And it's very much about like, mother-daughter relationships, sort of from the perspective of being both a mother and a daughter, and how being a mother informs my understanding of my own mother, and just the complexities, and and everyone is untangling their own relationships with their parents and their own relationships with their kids.
You keep coming back to that. Is she still alive, your mom?
She is still alive, and we're very
relation. I mean, do you see her? Do you talk to her? Do you what?
Yeah, I mean, we're very close, like a good Jewish mother and daughter. We talk almost every day. But there's stuff, there's stuff with mothers and daughters. And I mean, I see it, I think there's stuff that's built into the relationship inherently. I see it with my own kids and the things they project onto me by sheer virtue of the fact that I'm their mom.
Well, don't baptize them. For God's sakes, please do not do that.
Or take them to a Bob Dylan concert.
Let me also ask you, you got a playwriting master's from the New School, yes?
It was a fiction master.
Oh, it was creative writing. It was fiction writing.
Yes.
So what did you learn from doing that? I'm curious.
That there's no degree more useless than an MFA.
Yes! Yes! I don't know why. I talked to my friend Dave, whom you'll meet in about 5 minutes when he takes over for the quiz. So, yeah. Basically, yeah. So, but you must have had fun. I mean, did you write any stories that were pretty...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I learned a lot about story. And before I decided to make my big return to the stage, I had been writing... I've written a novel which has yet to be published, and I think retrospectively I could probably go back to it and make it a lot better. I wrote it in my 20s.
Can you do that? Can you go back to something that you wrote so long ago, and or do you just have to? No, I can't. That was me 20. I can't. No matter what, I have some ideas to change it. I'll have to write something completely new and different. I can't change that.
I think that might end up being right, that you can't, because for all the times I say I'm going to go back to it, I just can't bring myself to. It's like a different version of yourself you don't want to encounter.
Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned about our guest in the Daverhood, Melanie Greenberg, whom you can see at United Solo Festival on Theater Row on October 29th. Well, actually you can't because it's all sold out. But
well, they opened up more tickets for that show, actually.
So you can go on the 29th, but you can also
Yes.
go November 6th and November 7th. It's right on like 9th Avenue and 42nd Street. It's really easy to get to. United Solo Festival for The Elephant in the Room. The elephant in the room of this conversation that I haven't mentioned, that I didn't even know, that you don't seem to publicize very much, is that your grandpapa is oh my God! You know, when we look at the thinnest books in the library, it's like, oh, great Jewish sports heroes. You open up page 1, and your grandpa is on it because he was
Hank Greenberg.
Hank Greenberg. You are the granddaughter of Hank Greenberg. Did you know him? Do you have any Hank Greenberg stories?
I did know him. I mean, it's an interesting thing when your childhood hero is also like the hero to your people, which was very much the case for me. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, he lived in Beverly Hills and I lived in West LA and Pacific Palisades. So I grew up seeing him, but he was, you know, I heard there was all this mythology around him, but for me, he was Grandpa Hank, and he was just this kind of big, towering, charismatic guy. And so I grew up hearing the lore about him, but also just sort of he was the kind of guy you would have had your own mythology around if he was just your grandpa, because he was like, you know, he was a commanding presence.
A decent fella, people
really
disappointed if they, because you have heroes and especially sports heroes, and they seem so great, and then you learn about them, but it sounds like he was actually someone that you're okay if people idolize him, and he's like, oh, Jewish baseball player, we love you, and we should.
Oh, he was like all values. I mean, he grew up in, a religious Jewish household, and yeah, he was like, he was the real deal, and I again, this is me kind of probably stuck in my 8-year-old fantasy of him, but he was a wonderful guy. I have nothing but great memories of him. And I look to him as one of my models, as with my dad as well, who's his son, of just like really impeccable integrity.
I don't know if that's the first time you mentioned your father, but with so much has been about your relationship with your mother, and it's kind of what was the relationship with your dad like? Does that even make it into the play very much?
It does, but it's definitely more, I think, because I am both a mother and a daughter. It's really about sort of this journey of figuring out that, and I think that from what I hear, I have neither the experience of being a father or a son, but in that same way that there's sort of this complexity, in that father-son dynamic. So, I mean, I think as I said, because I am both a mother and a daughter, I'm just sort of interested in that and sort of unraveling what all of that is.
Now, also, as we have maybe like a minute or two, because we're waiting for our guests to come on and play the quiz in a moment or so, but we also want to ask, Oh, what the hell was I going to ask? Now I've forgotten what the. Oh, you put together a pilot of
I did.
a TV episode. How's it going with that? It's a comedy sitcom kind of pilot. You must have put a tremendous amount of time and energy and money into doing this. Where's it at?
I mean, I did, and I'm, I like to say that I'm actively failing in all the arts because I have my novel, I have my pilot. And look, it's like, I'm sure you can relate to this. You create and you keep trying to put things out into the world. And every time something doesn't go as planned, you think I'm never going to do this again, but you can't not because you're a creator. And so I just keep creating. And like I said, I'm showing, my hope is, I also really believe I'm getting better as a creator. And my hope is that if one thing strikes fire, the rest will come. And that's all it really takes.
Because you had a YouTube, or you still technically have a YouTube channel. I don't know if you're posting any further material on it. But it was kind of an interesting thing. You were kind of doing comedy while working out. Was that?
Oh, yeah.
It's a very weird thing. It's like, and with all due respect, it's amusing, but it's also very hard to watch because the camera's going like this and you're on a treadmill or you're running down the street. I'm like, ah! I have to close my eyes to watch it, but you got some likes on it. What was the impetus for that?
That was something that evolved. That started because I have a cousin and his friends who are, 10 years younger than me, and they're all really into exercise. So I made one as a joke for all of them. It was sort of like making fun of someone who might be giving an inspirational message while exercising, and I sent it to them and they loved it. So I kept making them, and then they started sharing them with some of their friends, and it evolved out of that. And I just kind of created this character who was really ridiculous. I guess what you might these days call an influencer, but who is always referring to relationships with celebrities and always, kind of dropping this wisdom that doesn't really make any sense or have any bearing on reality.
So that's just kind of cute. These are some of the things that the projects that you've been working on up until now when you're dealing with the elephant in the room. Do you have any, so you're going to get through, obviously, United Solo. What do you hope will happen after November 7th?
I mean, I would love if someone would produce a run of the show in a theater somewhere. That would be the ideal.
It's easy to tour. It's you.
Yeah, it's very, if there are any producers out there, there's nothing more cost efficient than a one-person show.
Basically, you would think, but this is a question that Dave got for his one-person show. This is amazing. It was like the one thing, like, it's your show, it's you wrote it, it's your personality, it's your persona. What do you think producers are going to ask you? The first thing they're going to ask about your show, if you're thinking of touring it or putting it up for 3 weeks or something like that, or weekends, what do you think they're going to ask you? I will tell you, but go ahead, take a guess.
Oh my goodness. I can't, something obviously I wouldn't think based on the buildup.
Okay.
Do you want a herring and cream in your green room? What do they ask you?
What they ask you is, do you have an understudy? I swear to you, if you start shopping this show around, and you start.
But that makes sense.
From TRU, it does.
Well, it does because what happens if you take ill or have an emergency? It's the whole show.
Well, yeah, but you expect. Why don't they ask that of Michael Bolton when he does a concert?
That's a good point, though, right? Michael Bolton.
Yeah, or supposed to be playing a solo, a folk gig, David Bromberg or something like that. Then they ask David Bromberg, if you're sick, can you get Charlie McCoy to play guitar? No, it's like, no. People are paying to see this. And now suddenly it's like, well, I want to tell people, like, you want an understudy for me, you hire them. You're the producer. Why, when does that become my problem to find a person who's going to want me dead so they can get on stage?
Right.
Think about it.
I did have a producer ask me who I envisioned playing the role. And I was like, well, What do you
These are
mean?
not the brightest bulbs in them. I'm sorry. I mean, they're smarter in certain ways, but sometimes you have to wonder if the bulb is flickering in the skull lamps of their minds. Anywho, we've been talking with. Man, here we go. Let's say I've also been surreptitiously checking that we should get our guests in the Daverhood very, very shortly, very quickly. So, I want to thank Melanie Greenberg for being with us. Don't go away. You stay there.
I'm not going anywhere.
But everybody, you get on the computer, get on your phone, get tickets to see her show, The Elephant in the Room. The Room being one of the theaters in Theater Row. Do you know which theater it is? Do you know which one of them?
It's the Studio Theater.
A studio theater on Theater Row as part of the United Solo Festival. And it's going to be on October 29th. There are tickets for that one. There's so many people. And I say, we can put more chairs in. You can go. Or go on the 6th or the 7th.
We have the links.
In fact, on the Facebook page of Dave's Gone By right now, we've put the link. So you can just go right to the United Solo, right to theelephantintheroom.com. Melanie, it has been an absolute delight, even though you don't know your Hebrew name. This disappoints me. But I have to go. I wish you much success with the show. But Dave, the fellow who does this program, he will be right here, and he's going to take you through the quiz with our wonderful people who play the quiz every week, David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake. She's partly Jewish, so we allow it.
You allow it.
Stay
generous.
Here's some Jew. This will bring back some memories. Here's some Judaism for ya. No? Where the hell is it? I got to pot this up. Goddamn iTunes. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Lefkowitz here with more of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. And we are here with one of our guests and our other guest trying to join, probably doing it by her phone. And this time I was wrong. I gave them a slightly wrong early call time, but you're here. This is David Sheward, the former head of the Drama Desk, former managing editor of Backstage, as well as a theater critic himself. He writes for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and he has his own blog, The David Desk. David Sheward, how are you doing?
Good morning. How are you? I'm fine, David.
And I'm never good at this. I need to introduce you to Melanie Greenberg, who is an actress and writer and has a solo show going up at the United Solo Festival. That'll be happening in, about 2 weeks from now. So hello, Melanie. Hello, David. Say hello.
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 Nice
How are
to
you?
meet both of you, Davids.
Good to see you.
The Dave
Nice to
Eye.
see you.
Yeah.
The Dave Eye, exactly.
And Leslie Hoban Blake will be joining us. She's trying to log on. She's actually working on it. It takes her a bit. But David, how was your week?
Okay. Let me see. What is going on? The things are coming back, as it were. What did I see? I saw Lackawanna Blues.
Oh, so you saw his speaking of coming back, how was his back?
It seemed to be fine. He was moving around pretty good.
Okay.
That's Ruben Santiago Hudson. He had to cancel a few performances, not COVID related. His back was giving him problems, and he's the only performer in this show he wrote and also directed, which is
should have had an understudy.
Well, then it wouldn't be him. It's him. It's his story.
You had to be there like 5 minutes ago to get that.
Yeah.
And I also saw Letters of Suresh at Second Stage.
How was that?
It was interesting. It was interesting. It was 4 people writing letters to each other, and it was kind of a bit like unbelievable that they would bare their souls to total strangers. It's one of those plays where, I saw you on the street in Nagasaki a couple years ago, and I'm going to write you my whole life story in a letter, and we're going to become pen pals. And
that happens though. That I'm depending on the play, I would buy that because sometimes you tell.
That's prison.
Joyce said that's prison. No, but sometimes you tell strangers a lot more than you would tell somebody that you have to see every week or every day or something like that. You're kind of more open. And Melanie, you've written a play where you're telling a bunch of strangers the most deep, private, personal. I wrote a play about something bad that happened to my guts in a theater. So,
That happened to
Well,
what?
it's easier to say, I joke it's easier to do it on a stage than it is to do it over dinner with people So similarly, I think it can be easier to do it to an anonymous pen pal.
or to be in an epistolary thing of like, I don't know you, therefore I can tell you about these people I murdered.
Right, exactly.
My laundry is living here. It's like whatever. But it sounds like at least both shows were worth seeing. Did you like
Yes.
Lackawanna? Yeah, I'm sure you've seen Lackawanna before. I have not.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was off Broadway like in, I think 2000 or something. Such a long time ago. And today I'm going to see Dana H in the afternoon and the Lehman Trilogy in the evening.
Oh, I'm seeing that. If I can,
Oh.
I have the guts. I'm seeing that tomorrow afternoon. So
I'm looking forward to it.
About that one. Because that's a major piece. Yeah.
I was not able to see Dana H earlier because of COVID, and I was going to see it, and then everything closed down. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Deidre O'Connell is one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah, we've been seeing her for like 30-something years. She's really, really good. And it's amazing that you wait long enough. These people will always be off Broadway. You'll never, you'll still see them, but they'll never be whatever. And then suddenly it's like, oh, wait a minute. People know them. Yeah.
She's one of these performers who was not a star, quote unquote, but is a really fine actress. And you see her in theater quite a bit and on movies and television occasionally. And she's always very, very reliable and very good.
No, who was I thinking of? Ann Dowd.
Oh, yeah.
Ann Dowd, I used to see her at Irish Rep. I used to see her in tons of things off Broadway, and she was so good, right? And then, but nobody's ever going to know who the hell Ann Dowd is. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly, like when we were in Colorado, a woman that my wife worked with mentioned, she's one of my favorite actresses. I'm like, how do you? Because she was doing all this TV, and and now she's like, oh, everybody knows who she is.
Well, The Handmaid's Tale. She's Aunt Lydia.
In what?
In The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, I said okay.
That's why she's famous.
I was just
in Law and Order for a bunch of times, and she was doing.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I was just telling someone yesterday about how I saw Mindy Kaling in, what was it, Ben and Matt? Did either of you see that? PS 122, right when she was out of college.
Right.
It's just funny. You go to see something off Broadway or off Broadway, and then, when the person emerges a decade later as this huge superstar, it's funny to see that. It's cool to see the progression.
Yeah. In the early days of,
I was like Jesse Tyler Ferguson was doing he was like supporting role. He was the gay best friend in all of these off-Broadway shows. And then all of a sudden he's a big television star and set for life.
Basically. What were they must be 25, 30 years ago now. And if you went downtown to like UCB, there was a show called Dratch and Faye. I never got to see it. I was it's time for two young women doing comedy sketches. All right. Well, it was Rachel Dratch and Tina Fey. And then there you go. So who knows? Melanie, maybe you stick with it. There you go.
Isn't that what we all tell ourselves to keep us going?
89, I'll be like, if I just keep doing the show, you need
that delusion to keep going on.
She's trying to get on. I'm trying to admit her again. Fingers crossed. While we're doing that, let me tell Melanie the rules of the game. La regla, as Rabbi Sal would say, la regla de Jew. Here's the rule of this game. It's called Today, Yesterday, and it's a trivia quiz. It's not just about theater. It's a history quiz. The idea is that almost all of the questions, not all, have to do with something that occurred in history on this date, on October 16th. Could be 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and so forth. A couple of questions are more current event-y. But, I see Leslie's nose. Hey, Leslie, great nostrils. Now pot down so I can at least see more, some shoulders and boobs. There we go.
And your music.
Well, yeah, first letters, let's see her. Now we can unmute. Unmute, Les. Unmute.
Okay.
Yes! She made it.
I've been trying to do this since before 11:10.
I
can
know.
ask
I
your
saw you trying to
lovely
get
wife.
on until about 5 minutes ago, just on time. And
I know. Thank you. I just want that to be on the record.
it is on the right. By the way, you look. I love that outfit. That you just so stylish. What? Something about black and.
I'm wearing a pair of pajamas and I threw this over it.
I would not have known.
That's a pro move.
You can do that.
Yep.
Hey, I'm
Good
wearing
morning,
a thong
Melanie.
under all this.
Am I right? You can throw this on and it looks fine on Zoom, right?
It's a total pro move. Exactly.
By the way, Leslie, that is Melanie Greenberg. She is a writer and actress. She is going to be doing a solo show at the United Solo Festival on October 29th, November 6th and 7th. It's called The Elephant in the Room. And everybody duck.
Well, I have to know what the elephant in the room is, number one.
Well,
And number two,
Go ahead. No, I want to hear too.
No, I worked on a show with a fellow critic last year, 2 years ago. I've forgotten there was no last year. The year before, the year that wasn't. And he did his solo show there as well. So it's a great place to work. Very convenient. It's easy to get people to get. Providing you have a good guest list, it's easy to get people to come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's
Now,
the
what's the elephant in the room?
Her first show on October 29th was sold out, and they put some more chairs in there. And so she's got 2 other dates, November 6th and 7th.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
The people were demanding more chairs.
And
There were riots
They were sick.
in Midtown over it.
It was like Les Miserables, and the
I was
sign
gonna
said
say
more
it was Les
chairs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're building a
Just
barricade
one
outside
more
the theater.
chair.
With a turntable, too, of course.
Exactly. That's a big feature
But
of my
it works
show.
because it says just one more chair, right? That's the name of the song. Never mind.
Yeah, right. Anywho,
Empty tables.
so what is the
Empty chairs with empty tables. Yes.
the one question that we didn't ask, and you don't have to say, but do you tell what the elephant in the room? Because it sounds like
That's
you've
what I wanna know.
heard of elephants in your story.
Well,
So-
there are a lot of elephants in a lot of rooms in my story, but my show opens with this story about how when I was in elementary school, I grew up in the Pacific Palisades, but I went to this birthday party in Beverly Hills, and one of the kids at the party had a circus themed birthday party and brought an elephant and had
Wow.
the elephant in their backyard.
Wow.
And so the elephant sort of becomes, and I'm sort of talking about how I was a kid and just horrified. I'm like, they have a captive animal and it's in a costume and people are running around. And the elephant sort of becomes the symbol for my existential angst. And sort of a symbol for my own feeling of being trapped and captive in some of the environments that I was in.
I guess
So the elephant in the room is a literal elephant in the room,
Wow.
Interesting.
as well as a symbolic one.
Not to mention a symbol of wealth beyond measure and dreams, right? That's boy,
Exactly.
wow.
She was in elementary school.
I thought that too, David, but I didn't say it.
That's wonderful restraint, Leslie.
Michelle, quick question: the
Melanie,
Pacific Palisades,
Melanie.
is that near Berkeley? Is that the ones above Berkeley? Or am
Oh
I
no,
thinking
this is
wrong?
Southern California. It's sort
Okay,
of in the
sorry.
Malibu area.
Okay. Got you.
Well, now
The
she's
other
in the
is Northern
Berkshires,
California.
but
I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah, where are
Okay.
you in the Berkshires? Are you near the Berkshire Theater Festival? Where are you?
I am. I'm in Great Barrington, which is
Oh.
not far from
Oh.
there.
Cool. All
Are
right.
you a regular there? Did you know Julie Boyd?
I know of Julie Boyd. I don't know her. I mean, we all know
I
of
go
Julie
back.
Boyd.
That's my connection. I'm a director, and she was our president for a while. So
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm
Sure.
sorry, I did not mention that Leslie Hoban Blake, theatrical director. She is also a video podcaster with our mutual friend Charlie Gross on the show Critics Circle that you can watch on YouTube. And of course, old episodes of Two on the Eye. Now, here's the deal, Leslie. Now that you guys are, well, no, you're not going to the theater yet, are you? You're not yet.
no.
No. Okay.
So
Charlie
David
will
came
wait.
on as a guest host, and for theater shows there will be guest hosts. Brian Scott Lipton, I think, is going to come on. And I'm going to ask Diane. Anyway, the point is, we put a little blurb up saying that until I'm not immunocompromised, which should be around January, February, because there's a finite time, that there will be guest hosts sitting on the aisle in my place. So, but I'm still doing the streaming. We'll cover Diana. We're going to cover Dear Evan Hansen. I mean, there's plenty for me to work on the show.
Great.
We just put up our Tony Awards. Our Tony Awards are just they're already on YouTube, but they went up on the station.
So look
So-
at the YouTube channel Critics Circle to watch the show. Okay, let's do the quiz. Let's get on to
Thank
our
you for the
Yeah.
long involved
Plug.
I do. Yeah.
plug. Plug. That's the word.
So
Plug.
here's the rules. It's a trivia quiz, 3 rounds. Each person gets a question individually. The question is worth 2 points if you get it right. If you get it wrong, you don't lose anything, but one of the other contestants gets to try and steal the question and get those 2 points. And then we have a tiebreaker, which we do whether there's a tie or not. We just do it for fun. By the way, Melanie, do you happen to have a pen or pencil or crayon and a piece of
No.
paper? Or
Do I need that?
you will
You
not
can
immediately.
prick your finger and write in blood. It's okay.
Right in blood, exactly.
Actually, considering your show,
I
you
can
probably
dig one
did
up
that
with
years
a
ago,
pen.
but do it now just for fun.
Let
For
me
the
see if I can
record, I
dig one
just
up.
want to say that Dave Lefkowitz would be one of the guest co-hosts, except he's not going back to the theater yet either.
Except I am tomorrow, Leslie. I'm seeing the Lehman
What?
trilogy. Tomorrow I'm seeing
Oh.
the Lehman.
Oh,
So
but I think did you guys already do that one? I don't know who.
No.
I think Dave. I think Charlie
well,
already
David's
got
actually
to
seeing
do
that show
but
tonight. So
We did Sanctuary City.
drop Charlie a note and tell him that you're seeing that because I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll want. Dave used to be a regular on the show, so that's why I say that.
I was not. I was always a guest. I was never really a regular, but they invited me on quite a lot. So and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the invite.
Sort of like Marshall Wallace on Match Game.
Yeah. So is everybody ready to play? Speaking of games,
Yes.
Ready, I have my pen.
Joyce is saying that I was never regular, and I'm like, hey, I crapped twice this morning before.
I knew that was going.
That
in
was
that
We
a-
direction.
know
quite a
better
set-
than
that
we
was
don't say
a-
the number 2. Don't give him any clues. Don't.
I knew which
Don't
direction
find
that was
them.
going in.
There we go.
He'll find them anyway. It's okay.
Now, Melanie, can you kindly do me a favor? Could you
Yes.
kindly pick a number between 1 and 6 and tell me what it
Okay.
is?
4.
Melanie with a big 4. Okay, and
I wasn't gonna say 2.
Okay.
See how quick she is? She's quick. I love this woman.
Leslie Hoban Blake. Since I'm being
David,
I'm sorry,
you want
David,
to
but
go
I'm not.
next? I don't believe in this, misogynistic. All the women go first. If you want to go next, it's fine with me.
David, I will let you go next if you want to do that.
Otherwise, I will take I will take my chance. But if you want to to if you're chomping at the bit.
I don't care, but I will do it.
Okay.
No. If you don't care, then I'll take it. It's fine. I'll take 6. Thank you. No, because he'll take my number.
Leslie's
I'll
always
take
taking
6.
6. What do you want, David? You didn't want 6, did you? Yeah.
I want 3.
Order Melanie.
Oh,
Leslie giveth and Leslie taketh away.
I want 3.
3. David Sheward goes for 3. So I have Melanie with 4, Leslie with 6, David Sheward with 3. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to get up my brand. I'm going to try a different roll of die because there was always a pain. I had to hit like 3 times. So it's a digital dice rolling thingy. So I hit the die that makes a noise. It came up number 3. So David Sheward, you have the option. Do you want to go first, second, or third?
I'm going to go second.
Ooh, this is
Ooh, everybody, ooh.
stratagem. Oh,
Ooh, that's a
no, it's a strategy, right? A stratagem plural and strategy is singular. Okay, I'll get that before
Okay,
I
now-
know I'll get that right.
The time we needed a strategy. How does that happen, Boris? You take the rope and stretch it across, and we have strategy.
Oh, I don't.
What?
I don't understand that. All right.
I
By the
don't
way,
understand that one either.
They're trying to trap Rocky and Bullwinkle, so they take a long rope and they stretch it across a tree, and they're going to trap them with the rope. And is this
Strategy.
stretch
I
it-
still don't get. I still don't get this.
Ask David if he was watching cartoons this morning.
yeah, were you watching Warner Brothers before you logged on?
Yes, I was.
That'll do.
Why would this day be different from any other day?
There was one that would be very offensive to Italians. They were very exaggerated Italian characters going like this.
All right, so here's the deal. I rolled a 5 before that was between Melanie and Leslie, so I had to disallow that one. But I just rolled a 3, which is David's number, but it's second closest to Melanie. So Melanie, you get to choose. Do you want to be first or third?
I don't know what I'm getting into, so I'm gonna go third.
Okay.
Clever girl.
Like a
That's
warm up.
Smart thing to do.
round. Yeah.
And-
This is a woman after my own heart. She knows all the right things to do. I obviously am going to go first, which I usually want to do, but now it's like I'm left with it. Nobody even wants it anymore.
So here's the deal. This is, I do, Joyce reminded me though, to tell you, Melanie, that a lot of first timers, newbies to the game, they're lucky if they even get 2 points, because it's a weird, ridiculous trivia game. It's not easy, and some of the questions are intentional.
And
Like, what the?
There's no shade.
Well, I watched one round just because when someone says I'm going to do trivia, I want to know. And I was comforted by the fact that you asked a question that no one could answer. So I was like, we're all going to just be equally,
yes.
It's not like I'm going to be humiliated alone. It'll just be impossible.
Anybody else ever studied for this test? I not only like this woman, I'm madly in love with you, and I will have your children, except I'm too old.
Well, Leslie, I have two that you can just help me raise as a compromise.
I've done that. My kid's birthday is in December, and I'm not going to tell you what decade he's about to enter. I'm not going to do it. It's
Leslie,
a
I do
high
think this is
number.
the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I'm sensing it.
I would hope so, yes.
All right, here we go. This is the beginning of a.
Who wins the game?
That's true too.
Oh,
This is very competitive, and David is
the
very.
friendship's
they're
off
both very
until the
good.
game is over.
But David is also sort of the most of the time the reigning champ. Leslie has won a few times, but David is like the guy to beat. He's sort of the
David is the
All
guy
right.
to beat.
The guy to beat.
he's the Magamugio kind of guy. All right, here we go.
Let's form an alliance, Leslie.
Yes, I always do with just about any woman who comes on, but you're really in my top one at the moment.
I like that.
Don't blow it, Melanie.
It's my favorite ranking. I know. Maybe I'll just stop talking so I can't mess it up.
I have my goose. I don't have my duck. I have a goose.
All
Wait,
right.
I'll go this way. Wait. Okay, David, do it again. Do it again. So with that, I want them to kiss. Put
Wait.
it closer.
Oh.
Am I supposed to have
Oh, no,
something?
yours is going
Yeah, you
down.
can
No,
if
it
you
doesn't
want,
work.
Melanie.
Okay, never
Let's
mind.
see.
We're in the wrong
This
position.
is, but-
Oh, what do you have?
Whoa!
I
Ugly, what's that? An ugly thing?
Person. Oh my goodness. Oh, I
Like
love it.
Kermit's worst nightmare. What the hell is that?
I don't know what it is.
I've seen them.
I think it's a dog toy.
It's a slightly dead thingy that's, I think, based on a frog given its color.
Oh. I've seen those. Yeah.
Looks like, is that like a virus?
That could be COVID. That could be the
This is
actual.
COVID. It's how I throw all of my competitors off their game.
COVID has like.
Can you imagine somebody having a toy that they call COVID? That would be insane, right?
David, what?
Or a dog. Here, COVID. Here, COVID.
COVID has would have a spiky head.
It's
Yeah, a lot
true.
of things poking out, but I think they do
Little
make
roses
actually
coming
COVID
out of
toys.
its face, right? Little.
All right.
Right.
So anyway, shall we
Okay,
go
all
ahead?
finished. Come on.
All right,
Come on,
let's start a game.
There.
We're doing a trivia game here at some point. It's called Today, Yesterday, the Quiz. And so Leslie gets the very first question.
Want to say the backstory that these are things that could have happened today or have some.
Yes, he said that.
Yes,
He
if
said
it
that.
weren't for Joyce, poor Melanie
said
wouldn't
that.
know what the hell was going on.
He said that.
We still don't know what the hell's going on. It's my show. It's called
Yeah.
Days Gone By. Nobody knows what goes on.
Yeah, he said that.
The year!
Did he say that?
He did.
The year was 1847. Okay, Leslie, this question is yours. Published today by Smith, Elder and Company is the Gothic romance Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. According to the History Press, which of these is not true?
Which is false.
Which is false about Charlotte Bronte?
Thank you, Joyce.
She owned a piece of Napoleon's coffin. B, when young, Bronte was a teacher, and she was a teacher. She was frequently reprimanded for being too open and lenient with her students. C, Bronte wrote passionate love letters to a married school headmaster who tore them up, only to have his wife put them back together. Or D,
They didn't have Scotch tape then.
the first time Bronte met her idol William Makepeace Thackeray at dinner, they were both so awkward, he ate 4 before either of them said anything.
Okay, so we have coffin.
Right.
Wait, we have coffin, leniency, letters, and potatoes, right?
Eating 4 potatoes before they could
Doesn't
eat
matter. I just need to get it straight in my head. Thank you. Give me a second to cogitate, please.
Not on camera.
Play your xylophone quietly.
I did see the David Sheward. I did see the Ida Lupino movie. about the Bronte sisters
Oh.
and the Bronte brother. None of this was in it. So I move on from there. Okay.
Wasn't Howard Duff in it, her future husband, or is
It
that?
wasn't Howard Duff. It was
Howard the Duck? No, he wasn't doing that. No.
Howard Stern.
now I'm going to be thinking of who was in it. Thank you, David. Let
Okay.
me finish this and I'll tell you who was in it. That's a second. Do I get points if I tell him who was in it? Because I can do that more easily.
Hey, that's a new strategy, distraction.
That's it. That's it. Okay, let me just go back.
I will get Dr. Sue.
I will sue Dr. Sue. I don't think that she was particularly lenient. I'm sure she sent a love letter.
It's the only quiet
I don't think she had a piece of the coffin. I think A is wrong. A is not true.
Notice how Joyce helped me fix a little.
Oh, look at that. It's whole again.
Finally.
Yeah. Again, listen to the tone. Beautiful. So that is our it's time for an answer music. Your answer, Leslie, is A. It is not true that she owned a piece of Napoleon's coffin. Well, Leslie, I'm afraid you've made a grave mistake. She actually did own a piece of Napoleon's coffin. That was, she worshipped Napoleon, so her headmaster at the school gave it to her as a gift. He had somehow a piece of it. So
I was going to say, I bet it's like Christ's bones or the nails in his feet. There are like billions of them around. So go ahead.
Talismans and all the.
Yeah. I'm going to roll a die.
Yes.
All right.
So do we steal? How does this work? Can I steal it?
Rolls,
Well, here's the
rolls
deal.
the dice.
I just rolled a 3,
Okay.
which is
And if
Dave's
it's-
number. So
That's my
Dave-
number. So
Okay.
if it were a 4, you could steal.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. So that leaves she got reprimanded by her principal for being too lenient.
Right.
Uh,
And open with her students. Or
and- or she sent a love letter to a married man, her principal, or her who tore it up, and the wife pieced it all together.
Mhm.
Or she had dinner with William Makepeace Thackeray, author of Vanity Fair, and they were both so awkward that he ate 4 potatoes.
Before they even said
Excellent, David. He should get a half a point just for that. That was a
So,
great.
I think that it makes sense that the first part, the one about being too lenient, that sounds exactly like what happens in Jane Eyre. So I think that's true. The third thing about the letters being sent and torn up, that sounds true also. And maybe he ate 3 potatoes instead of 4. I was going to go initially with what Leslie said with the Napoleon thing, but it's gone. So the one that sounds
Great
most,
minds think alike. Go
the
ahead.
one that sounds most fake or fakey to me is the William Makepeace Thackeray one. So I'll guess that.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Oh, David, vanity, vanity, all is vanity, but your answer was in vain there. That is not the correct answer. So,
All right.
Melanie, you have a 50-50 shot of stealing this question. So you have 2 choices.
Well, I'm gonna go with the answer that I would have gone with had they all, because the Napoleon thing was so specific. I felt it had to be true. You know, I don't know, so random that I felt it had to be true. I'm gonna say that I don't think she was, although what you say is true about what you got in.
It's what's not true.
Sorry.
You're picking out
Yeah,
the law.
no, I understand.
What's your
Yeah,
response?
I just had a moment of self-doubt. I had the one I was going to answer, and then I might have changed my mind. All right, I'm gonna say that the letters to her principal.
That didn't happen. That's not true.
No, I'm gonna say that the leniency thing was not true.
Is that your final answer?
As long as we sit here, I'll keep changing my answer. So let's call it my final answer.
Okay, so you're saying that which one is not true? That she was.
I'm gonna say that she was not lenient.
Well, I hate to be stern with you, but you're right. That is the incorrect. That what happened was.
Okay. Yes. I had a moment of self-doubt because Leslie, I was thinking like you, I couldn't see her being lenient. And then what you said, David, about the book, but then I thought maybe that's a red herring. I don't think you need to know the insanity in my brain.
Well,
I got the right
Or
answer.
even
Is
tell
where
her,
we
Gooba Gaba, Gooba Gaba. She is one of us. She thinks out loud. She's one of us.
Yeah. Well,
David-
Leslie's speaking in
David,
tongues
you
now. That's
know,
amazing.
but she is. She thinks out loud.
Really?
That's from
I do,
Freaks,
I
by the
know.
way.
I know. That's why I'm making a face.
An elegant person just says the right answer and leaves it at that, but I had to
Happens on
take
the
you there in the clunkiest way possible.
But here's the deal. Here's the trivia behind this question. First of all, Charlotte Bronte hated teaching, despised her students. She once wrote, just then a
Makes
dog
sense to
came up.
me. I was a teacher.
Yeah, well, just a dog came up for the lesson. I thought I should have vomited.
I love my students. Come on.
You're not Charlotte Bronte. And what else was the thing? And the thing about the letter. So she wrote these letters to the headmaster. His wife found them. He tore them up. His wife found them. She sewed them together because there wasn't Scotch tape.
Oh my God.
And her son ended up donating them to the British Museum.
Wow.
That was-
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Wow. So
Wow.
she's the opposite of Jane Eyre.
Yes.
That Jane Eyre
I did
loved
not
her.
hate my children, by the way. They were I grew to love the whole concept. I didn't want to be a teacher, but I loved it after a while.
Yay. You have to say
Yay.
that now, Leslie. But okay, here we go. We have
Not that anybody cares.
Now check this out. I warned Melanie that, people generally a lot of times when they're new to the game, they don't get any points. They don't get, you're in the lead. Melanie has 2 points as we begin.
I'm in the lead. I have 2 very loud dogs in the background, which is why I'm muting myself
you
till
can't
they
hear them?
hopefully. Oh, you can't hear
Okay.
them.
Oh, yes,
now,
I can
now,
do
now that you
that.
pointed
Yes,
out,
right.
yeah.
Right, now that I pointed them out. So,
Okay.
but at least so I'm gonna walk away having not totally humiliated myself. That's
Okay.
that's always my
Now,
bottom line in
that's it.
any interact. I want to walk away having not been totally humiliated. So
Okay.
mission accomplished.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Nobody's ever done that either.
Hey, we have a little question. We have a question now that goes directly to David Sheward.
Okay.
Because David goes second in the round. And we're still in our first round. Here's
Okay.
David's question. And remember, these are things that happened October 16th in history. 1925 was the
Okay.
year. The Texas, what?
David's in a different part of his room.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
just turned my chair.
Oh, there you go. The Texas.
It's an interactive, like you are there kind of play, right?
There it is. Oh,
There he goes.
Zooming in the round.
Yeah.
The Texas State Textbook Board bans evolutionary theory from all its textbooks today. According to Factinate.com, which of these is not true about evolution? A. Hiccups are a carryover from our ancestors, the fish. B. The lacrimal caruncle, that small pink nodule in the corner of your eyes, comes from our reptile ancestors. C. Humans share 60% of the same genes as a banana. Or D. People who can wiggle their ears are a carryover from our insect ancestors.
Oh, those are all very interesting.
Only one of them is false.
Okay. Okay. So hiccups come from fish. The corner of our eyes come from reptiles. We share 62 genes with bananas.
60% of the same genes as bananas.
As a banana. And what was the last one?
People who can wiggle their ears are a carryover from our insect ancestors.
Huh. Well, I think that the hiccups and fish are real. I don't know why, I just think so. The corner of the eye thing, I think, is true because if you look at a reptile's eyes, they do have this kind of funny little thing there. And they look a little bit like a basset hound. Let me see what else. Or like Droopy the dog on the Tex Avery cartoons. The banana, that's really, what genes will we have in common with the banana? Or the wiggle your ears in insects?
Bananarama?
They're actually DoorDash genes that were coming. Yeah.
I'm going to say the banana is not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, David Sheward, you are not monkeying around. That is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. We do share, not DNA, but we share genetic material with a banana. So we have
Does that make us all cannibals then?
Oh,
Yes, it does.
it makes us appealing.
Yes.
Same thing.
Oh, well, that explains Charles Nelson Riley on the Big Banana commercials.
I don't remember. Oh, really? Well,
What did he
things
say?
explain that.
Come on, tell us what he said.
Oh, no, nothing. It was just Charles Nelson Riley did a series of commercials for pens, which were called Big Bananas.
Oh,
So
big. I thought you said for
Bic.
big bananas. I'm so sorry.
Big Bananas. And dressed in a gigantic
You know what they say
banana
about
suit.
the size of a
Yes.
banana.
And when he did Neil Simon's God's Favorite, he wrote in a Big Banana joke. That show is not a hit.
You know, wow.
Wow.
The die rolls, and it comes up boxcar number 6. Leslie, you have a steal.
Oh boy,
opportunity.
I get to steal. All right. So it's a question of whether it's fish, insects, or snakes. And we are not in any of the same genus as
Reptile.
those things.
Yeah.
I mean, we are mammals, and none of those are mammals that I know of. Wait a minute. No, they're reptile. That's a reptile, and a fish is a fish, and an insect is an insect. So
Or
I
would
had
you rather
no idea
be-
I know. I was about to break into some. Aren't you lucky I didn't? There are evidently one of them has. Is this which one is true or which one is
Which
false?
one is not true?
Okay. I would
Which
say
is-
that we are furthest away from insects. It's just a question of what are we closest to, what are we furthest away from, I would think.
So,
Insect.
what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? The buzz is Leslie Hoban Blake. You got that right. You get 2 points. We got the ear wiggling from animals. That we'll be able to point their ears to various directions in the direction of sound. Not
Now, see, that's from years of teaching 5th grade science where you go through, but I never heard of being related to those. That's a specificity we didn't get into, so I don't know it. I know 5th grade science. That's what I know.
Yeah. Well, the eye thing, as David was intimating, that weird extra eyelid that
Right.
things have that this is a remnant apparently of that. And hiccups, there's a thing involving from the way fish breathe. It's just a carryover of the gills.
But then, and I know that we don't have time for a conference on evolution, but does that mean that then we are actually related to those other species that we are not part of?
Well, I guess, yeah.
I mean, that's what it's saying. It's saying that we get this
To
from them and this from them.
50 million
And,
years
and the
ago.
species
Yeah.
broke down in
Bananas,
such a way that we're not
reptiles.
related to any of them.
Bananas,
What? I'm
reptiles,
sorry.
and fish.
Yeah,
All
Those
life,
are not-
all life,
we're mammals.
all life is from the sea, so that may be where that comes from.
Oh,
You
that's-
know what? That's it, David. You got it. And insects are on land, so you got it. The insects came after, I guess.
Every once in a while, we'll get a bunch of bananas at the store, and I'll see one that looks like my grandmother, and I'll be like, there you go. It's,
How life is it?
That's Nana so-and-so, right?
yeah, Nana. That's it, Nana.
I know, I got
Oh.
it. Sure, I said it. I know.
Now here's
Totally a Freudian slip,
Nana,
wasn't it? And that's also a Nana joke.
Freudian slip on the banana peel.
That was
Right.
was-
It's a double whammy. It's a double whammy. I got
that was Olive Oil's mother, Nana Oil.
Oh.
No, that's the truth. And Roberta
I
Maxwell.
Was it
know,
really?
right.
And Roberta
Well,
Maxwell played her in the movie.
Who?
No,
Roberta
it was
Maxwell.
No, it was
Roberta
Maxwell.
Maxwell.
Well, Roberta Maxwell played Olive Oil's mother in
I got you.
Popeye with Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall.
Oh, I did. Okay,
The
wow.
only thing I know Roberta Maxwell from is Ashes. Honest to God, I don't
Yeah.
remember. And then later on, I saw her as a really older
It was
person.
Nana Oil, Castor Oil,
Oh, that's cute.
and what was the father's name? Well, anyway, played by McIntyre Dixon, but I don't remember.
Shell or something. No, I didn't know that. That's Coco. Yeah.
Castor Oil was her brother.
Played by, come on,
Very
finish
fast.
it up.
I
Played
don't
by-
remember who played her brother.
Very
Oh,
fast.
you remember
David
everything.
Sheward. I never saw that whole movie. Is it worth seeing Popeye? Robert Altman's Popeye?
You're a Robert
It
Altman
is
fan.
now. It wasn't then, it is now. Now it's hysterical. At the time, it was a big bore, but now if you look back at it and see who's in it and who's doing what,
Yeah,
it's an
Linda
hysterical
Hunt
romp.
is in it.
That's a
It's
great
a romp.
distinction, Leslie. Yeah, there are movies that aren't good for real, but are good as sort
Linda
of
Hunt is
historical
in it.
artifacts.
And it wasn't even not good enough to be like a camp favorite at the time.
Bill Irwin is in it. Dennis Franz
But-
is in it.
If you go back and you see everybody,
Was Dennis
That was
Franz
the biggest
wimpy? Or, yeah.
Dennis Franz was one of the ruffians on the waterfront that Popeye beats up.
So he wasn't
No,
wimpy at all.
not Pluto.
No.
We have now. Here's the deal, Melanie. Since you watched a round, God forbid you should watch an entire episode of my show, but you watched a round of trivia to prepare for this. Do you know what 3 clues in the news is?
Well, I've got to tell you, I didn't watch even a whole round. I watched a snippet of a.
Please raise your hand.
I'm a single mom. It's not personal. I don't have a lot of Saturday morning.
Well, here's the deal. We have a different kind of question that we do ask, because this question now goes to you.
Oh, and that's the one I got. If I had known, maybe I wouldn't have opted to go third. But what can you
Here we
do?
go.
I've already realized that the best way to win this game is to, steal, because you have fewer choices left.
Yes,
But
exactly.
Exactly right.
all right, I'm
Well,
with you.
that's why
3
you were
oohs
so
and a
smart to
clue.
pick second.
Right.
That was a really smart choice of where to go.
Well, thank you, Leslie.
It-
You're
it's
very
David's new-
affirming.
it's David's algorithm, but it really is. But to know that off the bat is really good. It's you're gonna be in New York, right? We have to have coffee.
I know, Leslie. This really, I think we've got something special going.
Okay.
Because Melanie's gone way down in my estimation now. And there's, I watched part of a round of your show. It's only been on for 19 fucking years.
Well, no, can I tell you something for real? I mean, this will also bring me down in your estimation, but will help you take it less personally. I'm not on Facebook.
Me
I'm like
either.
that much of like not connected with obviously this is a huge Facebook sensation, but I'm not on Facebook. So hopefully,
Obviously, I have a website called davesgoneby.com with 19 years of archives.
well, now I know, but
watch
how would
him
I
on
have found
YouTube.
out about it if I didn't?
Yeah,
Believe me,
Facebook.
what do you
I
think I'm going
watch
to be
him on
doing the rest
YouTube.
of the weekend?
I watch him on YouTube after we're posted, and he always does. And I'm not on Facebook either, so it's a built-in excuse, even if you.
But now I know. I mean, I wasn't aware of you, but now that I can't be punished for what I didn't know.
Yeah, you can. You're Jewish. All right.
Okay. Good.
Here's your question. It's called.
That's rule number 5, Melanie.
Oh, gee, seriously.
Here we go. Let me explain what 3 clues in the news is. There are 3 words that I will throw at you. They are not connected to each other, but each of these words is connected to the word that we're looking for. So it could be blank word or word blank. And the word that we're looking for has something to do with something that went on in the news this week. So I'll give you an example of how the question would work. So if I were to say sweet couch vegetable, what word would pop into your head?
Sweet couch vegetable?
Remember, they're not related to each other.
Potato? Oh, I see it. Okay, potato. Right.
Sweet potato, couch potato, potato is a vegetable. So those.
Yes, got it. Okay, understood.
Not each other. Got it? All right, here's how.
Okay, got it. All right.
Your 3 clues in the news are
Mhm.
fantastic, obvious, crunch.
Captain?
Is that your final answer?
It sure is.
I guess you are Jewish because I hear you crunching. Was that too obvious, guys? Was that too easy?
It was, a little. Captain.
Well, I got it. I figured it out.
I hadn't gotten it yet. I'm sorry. I'll be honest. I hadn't gotten it yet.
And-
I might have, but I hadn't gotten
Can
there.
I say what the news connection is?
Go for it.
Because William Shatner, 90 years old, went into outer space as the oldest person to be in space, and he played Captain Kirk.
There you go. Well done. Well done. I'm sorry you don't
He
take a point.
wore his uniform under his outside thingy, right? Didn't he wear his
I don't-
Star Trek?
I don't know, maybe.
But
Did you
well,
see the saddest thing in the world was when he came down? There was some footage of this on one of the shows. The footage all the news shows showed was Elon Musk and him talking, and it was blah 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 like that. but there was a piece of footage where there were some noisy younger people on the side making a lot of noise, and Shatner is trying to talk, and Elon Musk is paying attention to the younger people, and poor Shatner is standing there kind of like with nobody to talk to. He's just come down from space. So whoever's show it was on had him beamed up. It was really funny. It might have been Trevor Noah, but it was real
Oh, I
footage,
get it.
except for the beaming.
Yeah,
It was,
That sounds
and
funny.
it was so sad.
That is
or
sad.
anything. Yeah, it's not like
But on the
something
regular
else.
shows, they showed him talking and everything was hunky dory.
Yeah. Well, anyway, here's what's hunky dory about.
Congratulations.
Yesterday quiz. Melanie is in front. She is leading.
So I'm like a prodigy. This is like
Amazing.
Absolutely.
this is so I've gone from wanting to not totally humiliate myself to
being in the now. Anything can happen because we have 2 more rounds. Yes, we have
right.
2 rounds of this.
Yeah,
People.
take it away from her. The woman hasn't even had a chance to bask, and you're taking it away from her already.
Yeah, exactly. I was basking in the warm glow.
Let her bask.
Okay. Yeah,
We don't have
be
time
French
for-
for a minute and
No
back.
time for basking.
We have no
We're
time
on the
for
clock. My opportunities for basking are so rare.
Yeah,
Well, see-
TikTok, Miss Davenport.
No, but here's the deal, Melanie. You have to, if you're going to do that, you've got to be kind of apart from us, because then you would be a Basque separatist.
Oh,
Oh.
oh, Mr. Peabody.
Is that a QAnon theory?
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
We're going to round 2, and not a moment too soon, let me tell you, with a question for Leslie Hoban Blake. All right, Leslie, this is, again, a sort of a slightly different question. Today happens to be on the calendar National Bosses Day. In honor of bosses everywhere,
Oh dear.
which of these is true about Bruce Springsteen? A, the first song he learned to play on guitar was Buddy Holly's Oh Boy. B, Bruce wrote Hungry Heart for Patti Smith, but she was doing a concept album and it didn't fit. C, the working title for the Darkness on the Edge of Town album was Lost America. Or D, when he was a child, he smelled chocolate all the time because he lived near the Nestle factory.
True or not true?
Which of these is true
I
about
believe it's
Well,
Hasty
it
Heart
is
and Patty.
true.
I believe it's Hasty Heart and Patti Smith. I believe.
is
That's
the
true.
final
It's
answer?
true.
I'm afraid your answer was a little hasty, Leslie, because first of all, the song is Hungry Heart. And
I meant,
remember,
well,
but
that's
it's
my
also,
theatrical background. What can I
no, that is not actually true. I can tell you this before we get the steal opportunities, that Hungry Heart he wrote, believe it or not, for the Ramones.
Oh.
And the Ramones would have loved it, but Bruce Springsteen's manager wanted Springsteen to keep it for himself because he sensed a hit. Guess what? He was right. So,
Yeah.
but we have a steal opportunity. Wow, this is your day, Leslie. It came up a 6 again, but of course,
Okay, I get a second chance. Wait a minute now.
Not the way it works.
Dr. Sue. But Melanie can, because Melanie has a 4 as her number. So Melanie, you get a steal opportunity here. Which of these is not true about the boss, Bruce Springsteen? Is it? Oh, sorry. Forgive me.
It is true, right? Yes.
Is true.
Okay, we're looking for truth.
Forgive me. Yes. Aren't we all?
The only one I remember is that he smelled chocolate, probably because I'm hungry.
So, are you going with that one as being true?
No, that's the only one I remember. I need the other 2.
The first song he learned to play on guitar was Buddy Holly's Oh Boy, or the working title for the Darkness on the Edge of Town album was Lost America.
Oh, but there's the chocolate one.
And the chocolate one. The one she remembered.
I mean, it's whenever there's like a really weird and specific one, a part of me thinks from a trivia perspective that it's true. Just so, but the Lost America things, that feels like it could be true. Tough. I like to be the last person to steal because then you're 50-50. But I'm gonna go with Lost America for my answer.
Is that your final answer?
Don't let me answer that question and call it my final answer.
Well, I'm afraid at least on this particular question, all is lost for you. It's not correct. So, David, you get the 50-50 steal.
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen. I'm sure you saw the Broadway show. So, which of these
Was it in
is
the show?
true? Huh?
I don't know if the answer was in the show.
Probably not. Well, they might mention. I don't know.
All right, so
The first song that Bruce Springsteen learned on guitar was Buddy Holly's "Oh Boy,"
Right.
or when he was a child, he smelled chocolate all the time because he lived near the Nestle factory. One
So
of those is true.
so it's A or D, right?
Correct.
All right. I think he grew up in New Jersey, and Nestle. Well, no, the Hershey factory would be in Pennsylvania. So I don't know. So that I don't know where the Nestle factory was. So it's A or D. A.
Is that
Oh boy, Buddy Holly.
oh boy, you're wrong. No,
So my instinct was right. The weirdest one is always the correct answer in trivia.
Not all.
Freehold, New Jersey. New Jersey, all New Jersey is one continuous smell going into another. With all those factories
that's true.
and candy things. So yeah, he smelled. He was near the Nestle factory. I told you about Hungry Heart. The first song he learned on guitar was the Beatles' "Twist and Shout."
Oh,
So that,
oh well.
and Darkness on the Edge of Town, the working title, was actually taken from a 1932 Frank Capra film called American Madness.
Oh,
The working title of that album. I stumped you all.
oh yeah.
Stumped the panel. You stumped the panel. Thank you,
Didn't
Potato.
stump the panel.
Yep. Yes, as a matter of fact, to be fair, this is one of the first times this has happened. Joyce's help. She basically came up with that question and wrote the thing. So that was Joyce's
Not all of
question.
them.
Well
Well
done.
done.
Okay.
I slay grad students. That's
Now we're in the middle of our second round, which means that David Sheward gets direct. Now, careful, David Sheward doesn't have any points yet, but he's a very dangerous competitor in this game. Let's see how you do on this
Comes
question.
from his reptilian background.
Yeah, you can see it in his eye thing.
That's right.
Do the fake eyelid, Dave. There we go.
Mm.
What is it? It's a caruncular lacrimal caruncle. I think. Yeah. As opposed to the lacrimal carant. So.
An enforced carbuncle, which I must needs call mine.
Oh.
Ah.
Shakespearean yet.
Now, Joyce, of course, came up with this one.
Let me just yell, Lin-Manuel Noriega.
Yes, all the in-jokes are coming out now. Here's another question from Joyce, and it's a good one.
Oh no.
No, this is very meaningful to her.
Okay, go ahead.
Favorite person like ever.
Ooh.
1925.
Oh yes.
Born-
He's a saint.
Born this year, on this date, on October 16th, 1925. Happy 96th birthday to Angela Lansbury.
Oh, yes.
Alive
Wow.
and well, born today in London to English and Irish parents. Which of these is not true, David Sheward, about Angela Lansbury?
All right.
A. Her first film was Gaslight. Her second was National Velvet. B. She was a featured murderer in an episode of Columbo. C. On Murder, She Wrote, Jessica Fletcher's middle name was Beatrice, in tribute to Lansbury's friendship with Beatrice Arthur. Or D. The part of Jessica Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote was first offered to Jean Stapleton.
Wait, which is
Which of these is not true?
I think it's that she was. It is not true that she was on Columbo, because I don't remember her ever being on Columbo. I think that's not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Wow, just one more thing, sir, if I can just say that you are absolutely right.
You must be
Yeah.
like a Columbo, you're a Columbo completist,
yes.
apparently.
Well, I just remember all the people that were on, and I don't remember her ever being. That would have been. Oh, this is neat. She was a murderer.
Oh, yeah, Angela Lansbury, right. Oh, got
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
Melanie,
Too, yeah,
he
yeah.
just remembers everything. If
Yeah.
he's heard it,
You have
seen it,
encyclopedic knowledge
or
of
read it, he knows.
many,
He knows.
yes, I'm gathering.
I mean, I could guess all of the people who were murderers on Columbo.
Yeah, I remember there was Johnny Cash. There was.
Please don't.
I remember
please
the Johnny
don't.
Well, I'm
Cash
not going
episode.
to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, so I'm not allowed to fill up time like
Donald Pleasance and
like some other people. I'm not
I
allowed
was
to go.
waiting for a comeback. I knew there'd
I'm
be
not
something.
allowed to go off on tangents. That's not allowed.
Absolutely, you are absolutely allowed to do whatever David will let you do.
Now, here's a question for David, the encyclopedic movie knowledge person, and Leslie too, and maybe Melanie. Just no points, no nothing. But it is true that Lansbury's first film was Gaslight. Her second film was National Velvet. Do you remember what her third film was? Because you have them like right in a row. They were big.
Oh, the one with Judy Garland about the Harvey
Oh,
girls. Isn't
The
that
Harvey
it?
Girls.
Nope, it was Picture of Dorian Gray.
Oh,
Oh, right.
for which she
Okay.
got her second Oscar nomination.
You agreed with me, David, over your own encyclopedic knowledge? Wow.
I couldn't. For which she won her second Oscar nomination.
Right.
So
right.
here's the deal. We have a great game. We've got Melanie in front with 4 points, Leslie with 2 points, David with 2 points. I love when this happens. And we're finishing the second round of our Today Yesterday quiz with a question that will now go directly. How did I do this again? This went to
It goes
Melanie.
to
It goes
Me.
to David.
Goes to Melanie.
It goes to David, right?
No,
No,
I-
David got the last one.
I got Angela Lansbury. That wasn't a
Yes,
steal.
but that was a steal, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I
Oh,
got it.
sorry. Excuse me.
It was
Sorry. I'll
direct.
shut up now.
Okay,
I don't really
Do
follow
I get
the
the,
game.
the clues in a new again?
Well, no, no, you have.
Angela was telling me about it when I met her at New York One.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah.
She said, "I always
I
regretted."
used to be a critic on New York One. I never mentioned that.
'Cause,
Yeah, I was, and she was there to be interviewed, and we met in the dressing room briefly. And she said, "Oh, I always regretted I was never on Columbo."
Really?
No, I'm joking. I'm
As
joking.
one leads with, usually.
No, she
Yes,
didn't
right.
say that.
Was
My
she really
greatest
nice?
regret, it'll be on her tombstone.
Well, was she very nice?
Yeah, she was very nice.
I love her.
I said I just watched the Harvey Girls the other night on TCM. It was so amazing to see you. And she talked about how they filmed it. That was like a ranch outside of Hollywood, and
Oh yay! Oh
Yeah.
yay! All right, we have a question now for Melanie to
I'm ready for you.
Sorry, babe.
The year 1938. Billy the Kid, Aaron Copland's ballet, premieres at Chicago City Opera House. Which of these is true about Henry McCarty, aka the real Billy the Kid? A. Billy's first arrest was for disturbing the peace. B. Billy the Kid never robbed a bank. C. Billy escaped from prison by breaking one of his wrists to remove handcuffs. Or D. Both Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid and Young Guns featured Chris Christopherson.
Wait, is this the which is true?
Which of these? Only one of these is true.
D.
Both Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid and Young Guns, those two movies featured Chris Christopherson. Is that your final answer?
Yep.
Oh, I'm afraid you got burned there, Melanie. You got James Coburn. He was in both of those films.
Oh, right.
In Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Alongside, speaking of which, you and Bob Dylan was in there too. Very weird casting
With
choice.
this holy water. Yes.
So here's the come to dice moment where we have a number 5, which is between Melanie and Leslie. So Leslie, you get a steal opportunity here, all about Billy the Kid. Do you want me to read them again?
Yes, please now, because I was looking for a pen, which I couldn't find. Now
Right.
I'm good. Sorry.
So which of these is true about Henry McCarty, Billy the Kid? Billy's first arrest was for disturbing the peace. B, Billy the Kid never robbed a bank. Or C, Billy escaped from prison by breaking one of his wrists to remove handcuffs.
Remove handcuffs by breaking wrist. The other two?
First arrest was for disturbing the peace. Are you okay? Leslie, you all right?
Something fell in the other room. I don't know what it is, but I live alone, so it can't be alive.
Finish
I'll
the
go find
question
it.
and then
I'll
more
find it
important,
later.
Leslie.
I
This is
know.
so much more important than
priorities.
Priorities, yes. Okay, go ahead.
or Billy the Kid never robbed a bank.
Never robbed a bank, broke his wrist.
Or his first arrest was for disturbing the peace.
Thank you. Very sorry about that. Okay. I don't think he was a bank robber. I don't remember that being part of the, well, he had to be a bank robber, but he killed people. If you kill people during a bank robbery.
I know I have.
I keep heading toward the broken wrist thing. It just sounds so, but I don't think he was like, I'm going to say his first arrest was for disturbing the peace.
That's true. You're saying.
Yes.
You're saying that is true. Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I have some disturbing news for you, Leslie. It's not true. So we have a
Okay.
still opportunity for the dangerous Dave, right? Is yours, right, David Sheward?
Yes. Okay.
So we have a 50-50 on this one. Which
So
of these
it's he never robbed a bank or
he escaped from prison by breaking.
break his wrists.
Yeah.
So it's either B or D, right?
Right.
Okay. I think he robbed trains and not banks. Because maybe the out west the banks did not have as much cash as a train would. I think he was a train robber, not a bank robber. So I'm going to say he never robbed a bank. It's true.
Final answer.
Yes.
That was some good choosing on your part, David Sheward. Billy the Kid never robbed a bank.
So that was B.
D.
David does this thing with letters, Melanie. I'm trying to see. He likes to see how many have been used before. So, yes, it was B.
Interesting.
And you've totally broken the pattern because you've used B 3 times and D twice. So
I
there's
know, because you're
Because
trying
you
to take-
told him that's what you were doing, dummy.
no pattern. You did it deliberately.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, John Kreitzer, the great ballet dancer, was the original Billy the Kid, and I think I had a crush on him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I saw him on Ed Sullivan or someplace like
Oh.
that, and I just like, he was the handsomest man I'd ever seen.
So it is that he robbed trains and not banks.
Well, he robbed. But in fact, his first arrest was actually for stealing clothing with another robber. So he started really pretty small. I mean, they robbed other things, obviously, and he. This is kind of amazing.
Wasn't that Macklemore?
Well, he escaped one time. He was on death. He got a death penalty. He escaped because he told the guards that he needed to use the outhouse.
Oh.
He got to the outhouse, grabbed the other guy's gun, shot him to death, shot some other deputies to death, and ran away. It was like a nice fella.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah. We're in the good old Daves right here because we have a tie game. We have David Sheward with 4 points, Melanie Greenberg with 4 points, Leslie Hoban Blake with 2 points, and we're going into round 3 of our Today-Yesterday game here live on this October 16th, 2021 on Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, and we're doing the Turning Green edition of the show in honor of our guest, Melanie Greenberg, who is in a tie for first place. This is exciting. But Leslie, you're only 2 points away from tying the other two, and this question goes to you. So this could happen. Because I love it when we have a three-way tie. And guess what, Leslie? You get 3 clues in the news.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
3 words that are not connected to each other, but connected to another word. Tie, cross, ox.
David. Read them again slowly.
Tie, cross, ox.
I have absolutely no idea. Tie, cross, ox. Tie, cross,
Uh-oh. David's shaking his head like,
ox,
Just move it
cross,
around.
tie. Ox, cross, tie. Let me try saying it backwards. Maybe I'll get it that way. Ox,
Just doing my neck.
cross, ox,
Uh-huh.
tie. I can't even come up with a word that goes with what. Well, I'll say break. Tiebreaker. I don't know.
Oh,
There's
right.
no. Yeah, I have no idea.
well,
I think I
I don't
have
know.
it.
Just got it.
Here, Leslie.
Yes.
No, break is not the correct word, I'm afraid,
That's a
Leslie.
good guess. It's
It was
a
a very good guess, yes.
It was. This is a
No.
tough one, Leslie. It took me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Initially, or you never get it.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's like all or none. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the New York Times B game where you think, get the word either or it's just like never. So,
Something just happened to my screen. Something came up here.
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Oh, it's a vaccine update for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Good to know.
There you go.
By
Okay.
the way, we just came up with a number 5 on
Okay.
the roll. So number 5 is closest to, well, Leslie, but also Melanie. So Melanie, you got to steal
I
out.
just had that aha moment where it just clicked in. It's Bo.
Uh-huh.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
And what made you think of that word?
I don't know how this works. It just,
Oh,
I think it was, I think that it was cross that I thought like that came to me first. It's like you get one of them, then they all click in.
Right.
well, there you go. Because
Exactly.
crossbow, bow tie,
Yes.
oxbow incident. And
Right.
of course, why is Bo in the news?
It's sad. It's very sad.
Somebody died named Bo.
Oh no!
It's
Oh no!
worse. You guys didn't.
No.
Netherlands.
A terrorist in Norway
Norway.
killed like 5 people with a bow and arrow.
Oh, I
Oh my
did hear that.
God. No.
I did hear that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You see, if you take the
That's
guns
sad.
away, the violence doesn't stop. That's what the NRA is.
Particularly in Norway.
Can't wait for that.
well, I firmly believe in archery control. I really.
Yeah, the BRA.
I mean, because think about it. In England, 2 days ago, they had some big politician that was stabbed to death.
Yeah.
Stabbed to death. But exactly, that's what I was thinking at the time. I almost did a spit take on my computer. Thank you very much, Dave.
You're most welcome. There you go. Anyway, check this out. Melanie, our newbie, our guest, is winning the game so far, 6-4-2. So this is going your way, Melanie. But we're still in the 3rd round. Stuff can still happen because David Sheward gets the next question.
Okay.
And he's
Here we
only
go.
2 points away from you. David, are you ready? The year was 1950. Released today in England, a story for children called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis.
Mhm.
According to factretriever.com, which of these is not true about lions? A. When a lion purrs, it signals to other lions that no predators are nearby. B. Lions can breed with leopards and make lepins. C. Several years ago at a nature preserve, a lion adopted a baby antelope. She raised it for 2 weeks but lost it when she fell asleep and another lion ate it.
Oh, that's awful.
Or D. The darker the mane, the sexier the lion to a female lion.
That's it. Those are all 4.
Yeah, isn't that enough?
The way you were saying it, your voice kind of went up as if there was more to come.
No, there's no more than that.
All right, those all sound very plausible. So let's see. Those all sound very plausible.
Well, all 4, only one is not true.
It's not true. Okay. I think the darker the mane, the sexier the lion is true.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, okay, so one lion, that the story with the adopted antelope, that just sounds so crazy. It sounds like you made it up. But the first, so what are the other 2?
When a lion purrs, it signals to other lions that no predators are nearby.
Right. Okay.
Lions can breed with leopards and make lepins.
Now,
Several years ago, in nature preserve, lion adopted an antelope, but didn't go well. Or D.
I think the thing with the,
I'm sorry.
but the darker the mane, the sexier the lion.
It's not true.
Which is not true. Okay. You can hear me? No. Can you hear me? All right. I haven't made my choice yet. I was just going over them.
Oh, sorry.
I think the thing with the leopards and the lions breeding, that sounds like it's not true, but I think it's actually possible because, and maybe it happened once, and they were driven out of town and they had to go to another state. And then
It's only illegal in Arkansas.
and they went to they went to the Supreme Court, or they had a sitcom called Lions and Leopards.
David, no more. Somebody's going to steal your idea and make a movie. Shut
Okay.
Right, yeah.
No, this is part of David's process. He's got to do it.
Yeah.
And
I can relate.
So the other one was I went off in my pitch meeting already. I was envisioning it. But what's the third one?
Wait, the third one was at a nature preserve, a lion adopted a baby antelope. Yeah, she raised it for 2 weeks, but lost it when she fell asleep and another lion ate it.
I think you made that up. I'm going to go with the antelope.
Palace. He's in Slime Palace.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, sorry, Dave, I wasn't lying about that one. That actually happened. It was a tragic little
Wow.
tale.
That was crazy enough that you would make that sounded crazy, but okay.
Thanks for knowing that I would do something crazy. Let's roll the die. Comes up numero cuatro, which is Melanie's number. Melanie, you can.
I'm gonna say the one about the purring is not true.
Is not true. Is that your final answer?
Sure is.
I gotta tell you, Melanie, that answer was perfect. You got it right. How did you? What made you think? What made you
I
know?
was like, that sounds the least fakakta, so it's probably the fake one. So,
Oh, she's using the fakakta method. I didn't know
I'm using
that.
the fakakta method. I'm realizing like
Fakakta factor.
the fakakta factor. When something's like fakakta, it like so implausible, it's probably true.
Well, here's the.
Otherwise, it would be a terrible wrong, fake answer.
But here's the funny part that would never have occurred to me. Lions can't purr. Who knew?
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Little cats can, like ocelots and lynxes can purr, but jaguars, lions, things they can't purr. They can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, and lions only run in a straight line. That's another interesting thing I found.
That's good
They can
to
go
know.
zoop, and then they have to stop and kind of pivot because they're so huge that they can't.
They can't swerve.
Oh, wow.
That's helpful information.
Well, if you're ever attacked
Yes,
by a lion, yeah.
right.
You do it,
Just run to the side and they'll never get you.
or you know.
Zoom, the star going across the screen.
For your next safari, very good information. Yes.
Unless I'm greatly mistaken, and I've very often been greatly mistaken.
No, you're not.
Just so
He
you
is.
know, just no matter what happens, it's sort of a Magamodio moment, a Ken Jennings moment. This is one of the, maybe only the second time in history that a new person has won the today, yesterday quiz. Because we've got one more question in round 3, but we've got an 8-4-2 game.
Whoa.
So I don't think anything can occur at this point. No, but we're going to ask the questions.
I can die now having accomplished something
No,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shut, don't even say that. Shut.
But Melanie,
You fit.
if you want to really be champion, if you want to be the real king of the world here, or queen of the world, or whatever, I can't even think of something now. I've been talking for 3.5 hours. Melanie, you can get 10 points if you get your final question right, because this is still your question to end the third round. The year was 1962.
So it seems like it's mine to lose.
No,
at this
you
point.
No, you still win.
Yeah.
You still win.
Also,
Yeah.
Oh, so they
Still
can't get 10 points.
No.
Yeah, you
Only I can get 10 points. Okay. I was like, what is this? It's a sham. Give me the
Interesting.
crown and then dangle it in
Set you
front
up
of me.
and then
And
we take
You
it
win.
away.
You
right?
win no matter what.
okay.
So it's for 2 more points that would give you 10, which would be
Okay, understood. Okay, got it. I like those.
Here we go. 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis begins as JFK squares off against Khrushchev and Castro. Let's test your Cuban. Here are 4 definitions of Cuban words and slang terms, one of which is incorrect.
Incorrect. Okay.
Say this again.
So here's some Cuban-y, Spanish-y words
Okay.
and their definitions.
Okay.
All of these are correct
Diga,
except
diga.
one. So dígame. Here we go.
Dígame, yes.
A.
Dígame mucho.
Chancletas are flip-flop shoes.
Okay.
B. La Yuma is the mother-in-law. C. Guagua is a bus. Or D. Acere is a friend.
Wow, that's tough.
That is tough.
That's a
I'm gonna go with D.
You're going to say that is not true, that acere is not a friend, or there's no word such as acere. Is that your final answer?
It is my final answer. Acere.
Well, I'm seriously telling you that is not correct. So we have a steal opportunity here. Just for the fun of it, it goes to number 6, Leslie. Leslie, do you want to try stealing this Cuban?
Yes, please. May I have the words again, please?
Chancletas are flip-flop shoes. La Yuma is the mother-in-law. Or Guagua is a bus.
And you want the one that isn't true.
There is not an actual definition.
I know for sure one of them, which I won't say out loud. So it's only the other two I have to deal with. I'm going to say chancletas is the word for flip-flop.
Is not true.
Is not true.
Is not.
Okay.
Well, Leslie, you flipped, but you flopped.
Yeah.
Chancletas are indeed flip-flops.
So the great
Mm.
mom is that there's a joke, right, among moms who self-define as Mexican. The la chancla, they throw the flip-flop at the kid. That's
Really?
a joke.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Mm.
It's slang.
So, David, I think you get a steal opportunity here.
Okay, so my choices are guagua or what?
Guagua is a bus, or La Yuma is the mother-in-law.
I'll say guagua.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, your bus was a bust. I'm afraid I stumped everybody on the panel.
Bus was the only one I knew for sure was real. I didn't know the other ones.
Yuma is actually a slang what they call the America, USA, is La Yuma. No,
Oh,
Really?
La suegra?
that wasn't part of the whole.
Wait. So Yuma is the one that is fake.
Right. Yuma
Oh.
does not mean mother-in-law. Yuma means, if you're from La Yuma, it means you're from America. You're from the United States.
Oh,
Tell
interesting.
David and
Okay.
Sam's mother-in-law, like general Spanish, you say la suegra.
La suegra is
But I don't know
mother-in-law.
if that's how Cubans say it.
Don't know. So, here's the deal. First of all, speaking of Cuba, let's give Melanie a cigar as we go into our unnecessary tiebreaker, because Melanie has won anyway. Mazel tov. But
that's
Incredible.
Excellent.
the position from which I like to be entering
Yes,
into
right.
the tiebreaker, having already won.
there you
You've
go.
already won.
So get your pens and papers right. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow!
Oh.
I hope you wear that mask at the theater, Dave. When they require that your mask. Oh,
That's
that would be great.
That's so pretty.
So here's the deal. This is how this works, Melanie. You wouldn't know this because you didn't stay and watch a whole fucking round.
But she
But-
still won.
I watched enough to win, Dave.
Yay.
They did.
That's all it takes.
So here's how we do it. I read one more question. Everybody writes down his or her answer. And then I'll read the question again. I'll count down 3, 2, 1. And then you lift up your answer to the camera. So this way everybody can answer the question at the same time. So-
no verbal, right? Just
No verbal. So
Okay.
are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
1972 was the year. Following a long period of dissension, this rock band breaks up, but not before releasing such albums as Green River, Cosmo's Factory, and Pendulum. Name that group.
Say it again.
Following a long period of dissension, on this date in 1972, this rock band breaks up, but not before releasing such albums as Green River, Cosmo's Factory, and Pendulum. Name that group.
Okay.
Mm.
Do your xylophone, your waiting
Oh.
music.
That's it. I'm afraid I might start playing one of their tunes. Hold on.
No, play something different.
Oh.
Play a little Wagner.
Da 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 da.
The Scotch tape makes it better.
Anything in a cartoon for David, you know.
So, Melanie, do you have an answer? Have you written anything?
I mean, it's not the right answer, but just so as to have something written down. Yes.
It's her website, but she could
Yeah.
link to
You can also, one of the things that people do is if they don't know an answer at all, you can just put down theelephantintheroom.com. Or is it elephantintheroom.com or elephantintheroom.com? Remind
It's the elephant in the room.
theelephantintheroom.com for your show. But I'm going to read the question again, and then you're all going to hold up whatever you wrote on a 3, 2, 1 count. On this date in 1972, following a long period of dissension, this rock band breaks up, but not before releasing such albums as Green River, Cosmo's Factory, and Pendulum. Name that group. 3, 2, 1. Josie and the Pussycats, CSNY, and I can't see yours. What did you write down, Melanie?
I wrote cream.
Great, really, really great answers from all. Well, maybe not Josie and the Pussycats is not, but the funniest answer.
They weren't real, David.
The answer is if I say, "Born on the Bayou."
Creedence Clearwater.
Oh, CCR?
CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh.
Yeah. The Cosmo's Factory is a pretty well-known album. Green River and
Oh yeah. Now that you say it, it was
Right.
you know.
I recognize the Cosmos name, but I couldn't put it to a band.
Not with a bang, but a whimper.
Yeah. Doesn't
Right.
matter. Melanie won
And-
the game. Yeah.
I won the game. I'm so bad at shameless self-promotion that I actually have my website wrong. It's theelephantintheroomshow.com.
Good God.
Okay.
I know.
So wait, the elephant in the room was taken?
Yeah, I know. It's the
Probably.
real- yeah, exactly.
Have it all in the,
It's
Exactly.
linkable on our thing. The elephant in the room show, Jesus Christ, show.com.
we've linked you
I know. Well, I just
URL.
I come here, I do the quiz, and then I give everyone the wrong website. It's,
Not easy to find because you're not on Facebook, as we know. It's kind of hard to find you.
We have her set up.
I know. I'm just starting to learn how to use the internet. I finally have a website, which is melaniegreenberg.com. That wasn't
MelanieGreenberg.com.
taken miraculously.
Yeah.
And theelephantintheroomshow.com. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
that's
coming into
researching.
the new century. Yes.
What is that?
Researching
What is that picture
scientists
behind?
is their name. Yeah. Sorry, Leslie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Is
this
it a La
picture-
Quista? I've been looking at it the whole time.
It's actually this isn't my house. My house under
Oh.
construction. This is a rental house. It says Botticelli.
Oh, okay. I, it's really hard to recognize with, anyway. Okay, thank you.
No, one time I
I was
bought it.
way off.
It was very
I
expensive for
was
jelly.
way off.
Yeah, that's a little Botticelli joke I made there. Ah.
Mm.
So we're reminding people seriously that go see The Elephant in the Room, which is a show, at the United Solo Festival. It's going to be on, first of all, on the 29th. There are more tickets made available, even though it was sold out, on the 29th of October, and then November 6th and 7th on Theater Row. You said it's at the Studio Theater in the Theater Row building on, what was it, 410 West 46th?
Correct.
Right.
So
So
you can get there through the United Solo website. You can buy the tickets. If you're a Broadway fan, it is like one big love letter to Broadway. Basically, as a kid who has spent it's basically the retelling of my story through the lens of a kid who loved Broadway musicals with my own pastiche version of, songs from Broadway musicals that sort of helped me survive the various episodes of my life.
wait, is there music in it? I thought.
Oh yes, it's I'm really bad at shameless self-promoting. I've been here for 3 hours and you still don't know that there's music in it. Yes, it's a musical. It's basically every event of my life is seen through the lens of a kid who loves show tunes. So I'm in the psych
you a
ward,
West
and
Coaster?
my doctor is Miss Hannigan from Annie.
Were
I've rewritten
you-
Little
were you a
Girls
West
to be
Coast-
about,
Were you a West Coast kid or an East Coast kid?
West Coast.
West Coast. Moved here when I was 12 to
Wow.
New York.
So it was from afar. You loved all the Broadway shows from
Well,
afar.
yeah. So
I
we
got
saw,
it.
we got the touring casts in LA. So
Yeah.
I saw them all in
Charles
wherever-
Nelson Riley and Lear. And that was kind of great.
Exactly.
Dressed as a big banana.
Now, speaking of the usual top banana in our quiz, we've got David Sheward, who did not win today, but David Sheward is always a winner because he's a fine writer, and you can
Thank you.
read him in culturaldaily.com, theaterlife.com. What, I know the shows that you said you've gone to see, but what have you reviewed this past week?
This week, I have a review of Thoughts of a Colored Man and Chicken and Biscuits.
Mm.
How are should I see either of those, David? I've been remiss.
Thoughts of a Colored Man is very good.
Oh.
It's a male version of For Colored Girls with 7 characters sort of in poetic terms discussing what it means to be African American and male in today's world. And they each represent a different aspect of that. But it's very good. I really liked it.
I'm surprised it took somebody so long to come up with that idea. It's a brilliant idea.
And Chicken and Biscuits is a very, very broad comedy. It's a sitcom, and if you like, I thought it was a bit much. It had its laughs, but it was way over the top.
I mean, if I say the word, the first time I heard about it and then started reading the reviews, I'm like, Chitlin Circuit. Is that kind of like what Wilson was fighting against? Or
Tyler Perry.
yeah.
Kind of. It's very broad. It's very comic. There's some very good performances in it. Norm Lewis is very good.
Oh, well, he's Norm Lewis. Yes. All right.
There's a young actress named Agner Mizell who plays a sort of a bratty teenager who's very, very good. She's very funny.
Isn't that how John Travolta mispronounced Idina Menzel's name?
Well, I probably mispronounced her name. It's a very strange name.
Now, the other question I want to ask David Sheward is, you also have a blog called The David Desk. Did you write about anything for the blog this week?
No, I've been kind of busy, but I still have up my latest reconstruction of the Carol Burnett show, in which I talk about the episode with her and Wayne Rogers and Buddy Epson, where they do War is Heck,
Right.
and West Dakota County Fair. These satires of movies that she did all the time, and there's also one with Steve Lawrence and Sally Struthers called The Boring 20s, which is two very funny episodes.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So everybody read David Sheward in these various places. The David Desk for his blog, where he's doing the Carol Burnett reprise stuff, and also culturaldaily.com, theaterlife.com for the theater.
And I have to get to a matinee, so I'm going
Yeah,
to say
bye.
bye. It was lovely to meet you, Melanie, and
It's
congratulations.
so nice to meet you, David. Yeah, I'll look forward to
Congratulations.
reading your work. Thank you.
Congratulations, and good luck with the elephant.
Thank you.
Bye, Leslie. Bye.
Goodbye, David.
And I
David
have to pick my daughter up at nature camp, which is something you only say when you live in the Berkshires.
is also on our show this week. So our YouTube interview that he did. Oh, sorry. David is also on camera with our with his co-hosting with Charlie for what the hell did they see? I don't remember. David told you at the top of the show what they saw together. I don't remember.
I don't recall either, but everybody go to Critics Circle, the YouTube channel, to see Leslie Hoban Blake. Everybody go
For
see
sure.
Elephant in the Room, and the website is the elephantintheroomshow.com, and also melaniegreenberg.com. Welcome, please come back and play another.
Lovely to have you.
Yeah,
Oh, it was so lovely to be here and lovely to meet you, Leslie and Dave.
and you win. You won, for gosh
And
sake.
I won.
Bragging rights for at least the next 5 minutes. And then
At least.
I'll take all the bragging rights I can get for as long as I can get them.
big kisses to the audience, everybody. I gotta let you go Zoom-wise. So farewell. Have a great, great week.
Just sing from Bon Jovi.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, farewell.
Farewell.
I'll sing the alto part.
Oh, please say goodbye.
Yes,
Bye.
all the others done goodbye. That's me.
Ah, my goodness.
What?
My goodness. I thought, well, how is this episode? I'm going to fill this episode out to 3 hours, because we had booked the interview to start fairly late in the show. And then now here we are. It's 12:36 in the afternoon, Eastern time. We're well into the overtime portion.
Never had that was incredible.
She was amazing. She got
Naomi-
8 points.
Naomi wrote in and said that's interesting. See, she liked it a lot, but I think when you have a guest who wins like that, but see, the bad part is, unless she comes back, she's going to be like an undefeated champion.
Well, we
Because
may
you can't
force her.
challenge her because she's gone.
Mm.
Like
Well,
Vicki,
I
when
would
Vicki
definitely have her
wins,
back.
Vicki comes back, and then Vicki can lose, or tie. But now Melanie's gone; she's an undefeated champion.
But we have this wonderful range of people that I love to ask
Yeah.
back. People like Stuart Zagnit, Moshe Denberg,
Mm-hmm.
and now Melanie Greenberg, and the last few guests that we've had who've just been delightful on the quiz. And we would certainly love to have them back as that third spoke in the wheel. Not that we don't love Vicki Quade, who is our wonderful fill-in.
But she's quite busy. Let's be real. Sister's got a lot of work going on. Vicki's busy.
Quite literally sister, because
But
she's playing.
Vicki's very busy. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people, you can't overtax a guest star. You gotta have
Oh,
a
I
guest
can.
star.
Oh, I certainly can. I overtax everybody. That's me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you haven't found this episode too taxing, because we have a little bit more to do on this 820th episode of Dave's Gone By. We've been calling it Turning Green in honor of course, Melanie Greenberg, our brand new friend of the Daverhood. Friends of the Daverhood are people who have been on this program in months and years past, and we consider them family. We want to know, hey, what have they been up to? What's new in their lives? What creative endeavors are they doing? And so every week, we let you know in this segment called Friends of the Daverhood. So keeping you posted on what our friends are doing. For example, today, Saturday, October 16th, Betty Davis, Ink for Sissies, featuring Jessica Scher. She is over in Klamath Falls, Oregon, at the Raglan Theater, doing that show in person. See, this is what Melanie wants and what I want for my one-man shows. She's taking it all over. Betty Davis, Ink for Sissies in Oregon at the Raglan Theater. That is happening tonight. By the way, congratulations to our actress, musical friend of the Daverhood, Karen Mason. She's got a new album coming out called Let the Music Play, and the titular single, Let the Music Play, has been released yesterday on Zevely Records. It's called Let the Music Play from Karen Mason. Go get it. On, whoa, honey.
What?
Bell dingy. Remember we used to get these all the time. We have an Austin Pendleton alert.
It's everywhere, that mean.
Austin Pendleton is directing a reading of Blue Roses, kind of loosely based on the Glass Menagerie. It's a benefit for the York Theatre Company they're doing at the St. Jean's space that they've been using while they muck out from the flood they had a few months ago. So it's called Blue Roses, directed by Austin Pendleton, and you can see it on Monday night. Now, speaking of later in the week, from October 20th through the 22nd, go to Birdland. Speaking of wonderful guests, oh my God. See Clea Blackhurst and her jazz cabaret nightclub evening. One of the girls, Clea Blackhurst, Klea. She was fantastic last week.
Wonderful, yeah.
One of the girls at Birdland. That is happening October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Now through, that one's gone. Now through the end of the month, on Saturdays, Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano, they do their weekly show at Birdland, and I'll bet you that'll be extended through November. Through Halloween, Jason Gra is directing. He's directing the Rodgers and Hammerstein Revue, A Grand Night for Singing, and that is in Long Beach, California at Musical Theater West. As David mentioned, our friend Ruben Santiago Hudson directed and stars in the play that he wrote, Lackawanna Blues, and he's, for a very limited time only on Broadway. You can see it. I think he extended it 1 week because he missed performances with his back. Is now running through November 7th.
Didn't David talk about that?
At the Samuel J. Friedman Theater, but we didn't mention that Ruben Santiago Hudson is a friend of the Daverhood, which he is. Now through November 20th, on Theater Row, Mrs. Warren's Profession, the George Bernard Shaw play, being done by the Gingold Theater Group and featuring two of our friends, Karen Ziemba and Robert Cuccioli. Playing now through the middle of December, a play by Alan Lewis Rickman called The Essence. I have to check that. I think that got canceled or postponed.
So put that on hold. Just
Put that on hold. Put that on your
pause
calendar.
it, put it
Yeah.
on pause.
Julie Halston is appearing in the comedy Fairy Cakes off-Broadway at the Greenwich House Theater. It's playing now through the 2nd of January, and playing now through the 9th of January on Broadway, Waitress at the Ethel Barrymore Theater, which features our friend Dakin Matthews. Also, J.O. Sanders is back on Broadway in Girl from the North Country. That was the last show to date, until tomorrow, that I've seen on Broadway. It's at the Belasco Theater. It's the Bob Dylan-related review. They build a story around Bob Dylan songs. And J.O. Sanders, he's marvelous, and he's back in it now through an open run. Off-Broadway, our friend Darren Lee Cole, who owns and operates the Soho Playhouse, he co-wrote and directed an experiential show that has already started performances. It's called Tammany Hall, and is about corruption in the old days of New York. It's at the Soho Playhouse on Van Dam Street. Jim Caruso's Cast Party, Monday nights at Birdland. Go to birdlandjazz.com for all the stuff that's happening there. For Clea Blackhurst's show, for Comstock and Fasano, and for Jim Caruso's Cast Party, birdlandjazz.com. Shout out to Evan Seplow, the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com. You're going to want to go there for stories about New York nightlife and calendars of things to do. Now that there are lots of things to do in New York, StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. Soundsofbroadway.com for 24/7 show tunes. Stuart Brown, our friend, founded that website. And what else? You can still read Charles Mee's plays free at his website, Charles Mee, M-E-E, charlesmee.org. Huh?
Can I read Hughes' plays?
Use his plays, Mee's plays, charlesmee.com. And that's me giving you the Friends of the Daverhood. Oh. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're already at 1:45 on this Saturday, October 16th, 2021. Are we done? Are we through? Almost. Almost done with the 820th episode of the show.
Wow.
But, hon, is there something I've forgotten to do? Something I haven't...
No, it's time to go.
Is it? Are you hungry? It's time to go? Or is there one more thing? Ladies and gentlemen, how could we leave out? How could we forget our cultural segment, our high-level, high-toned segment? No, it's not the arrival of a potato, nor is it the playing of our newly fixed xylophone. No, siree. It is our Colorado Limerick of the damned. So we lived in Colorado for several years, which, for some sick reason, inspired me to write a poem about as many places in Colorado as I possibly could. Every town, every village, every city, every burg, and we're still doing them. Dozens and dozens of these later. Today, we go to Rico, Colorado. Yes, that is a place. Rico, Colorado.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain.
Rago, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, our Colorado Limerick going to Rico. Let me tell you a little bit about the town of Rico in Colorado. It's in far southwest Colorado in Dolores County. And yes, I did do a poem about Dolores, and you can probably imagine how that went. It's less than a square mile, Rico is, and about 30 miles south of Telluride. Very high altitude. So it has long, snowy winters and cool, rainy summers. Back in the 1860s, miners and prospectors came there, which of course was not much fun for the Ute Indians who were living there first. Railroads came through in the 1890s, which really made it a very happening town. And they named the... Oh, you okay? Joyce just sat on something that hurt her.
No, my computer just fell off my lap and hit my ankle.
Oh, ow.
It's going to be a bruise.
So, railroads came through in the 1890s in Rico, Colorado. It became a kind of a happening town when they did. And this is kind of fun. They called it Rico, both to show its Spanish connections and the richness of the soil for minerals, speaking of Spanish words and Cuban-type words. Other names that were considered, this is true, this would be a good trivia question, were Carbonate City, Carbonateville, Dolores City, Doloresville, and Lead City. I think Rico was probably the best choice of those. Over the years, mining went up and down. World War II, of course, was a big up for the town. And then during World War II, this is amazing, Monsanto set up a sulfuric acid plant to help make uranium. Everybody sees Monsanto as the evil overlord empire, but they did help us win World War II, so thank you for that. In 2019, the town of Rico voted against a central sewer project.
Against it?
They voted against
Why?
a central sewer project because they didn't want the city to grow. They like the population of about 200 people. They like it being quiet. There's mountain hiking biking trails and hiking trails, and there's a small town feel that brings in a very modest summer tourist trade, and the people of Rico are just fine with that. I don't know how fine they'll be with this Colorado limerick of the damned about Rico. By the way, you don't have to leave, you don't have to pull the children out of the room for this one. This one isn't even disgusting, it's just sad. A tree-hugging hippie from Rico went wild about everything eco. She cursed at a cop and just wouldn't stop. He battered her worse than Steve Biko. Boy, was that inappropriate, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about inappropriate noises. Wow. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. If you feel like she does, remember that you can write your complaints to me or anything to me.
Curtis Sliwa is going to come and address you for that one.
Dave's Gone By at AOL.com is the way to get in touch with me. DAVESGONEBY. Dave's Gone By at AOL.com. I try and read every letter I get. I don't always have time to answer them all. You can also message me if you are a friend on Facebook. And remember, just like I was telling Melanie, if you're not a Facebook person, if you can't watch the show on Facebook, davesgoneby.com, send your friends to it. And your friend might say, oh, I don't want to give my information to Facebook. I don't want them downloading. The Russians have it, the Chinese. Don't have to. Just go to davesgoneby.com for all the archives. Plus, we put our archives on archive.org, the audio archives on Castbox, castbox.fm. We have our YouTube channel, Dave's Gone By, and of course, you can also find us Tuesday evenings, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. on Channel 20 if you have Altice Cablevision in Nassau County. That's just an hour-long excerpt of the show. The real place to see it is davesgoneby.com. My Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2, so please follow me and add me there. Just tell your friends, tell everybody Dave's Gone By is the show. davesgoneby.com is the place to find it, as well as here on Facebook every Saturday morning. Gotta give some shout-outs and thanks. First of all, big shout-out to our friends at Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings of Broadway. Won't say much more about that, except they're the franchise of Minuteman in the town of Hewlett, Long Island. I know the family. They've done great work. I can't say go, because that'd be like a commercial. I'm just saying they do great work. Hewlett Minuteman Press. Anywho, thank you also to so many folks who helped do this show. Thank you to Catherine Musilek of Shark Party Media for lining up our delightful interview with Melanie Greenberg. Go see her one more time. It's The Elephant in the Room, doing 3 performances as part of United Solo Festival in Midtown Manhattan on Theater Row, happening October 29th, November 6th, November 7th. Go to theelephantintheroomshow.com and, of course, melaniegreenberg.com. What a wonderful guest. And, oh my gosh, victorious in the game.
That's amazing.
How fantastic is that?
She got mad skills.
Speaking of mad skills, other people who often win the game are our wonderful
And she went
weekly
first, right?
No, I think she chose to go third. So that gave her a little bit of an
There we
advantage.
go. She
Leslie-
did a Sheward.
Leslie Hoban Blake, remember to watch her and Charlie Gross.
I stuck their thing up about Diana, and I put
Oh.
David's thing about the day of the desk. He did something mid-October.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Yeah, David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake, thank them for being with us too. Thank you to Rabbi Sal Solomon, who did the interview with Melanie Greenberg. Rabbi Sal has his own website at shalomdammit.com, shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com, and his Twitter feed is at Rabbi Sal Solomon. So definitely follow him too. All his interviews on the show, you can find them on his website as well. Also his musical performance that he did off Broadway, Shalom Dammit, an evening with Rabbi Sal Solomon. The footage is on his website and on YouTube as well. You can watch it. You can watch the whole show professionally shot. Shalomdammit.com. And yes, and who else? Oh yes, and I have to really thank my darling and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce, who really pitched in this week more than usual, not just with the sound effects and
Questions.
having somebody to bounce off of and talk to, but creating 2 or 3 of the questions on our yesterday quiz, because I got behind the 8 ball this week. I did not have time to do this all myself. So she came up with great questions and was a huge help to me last night to get this show ready for airtime today.
Oh, no, that's private.
Okay, well, she did this to me too. She didn't hurt my finger. She bandaged
No, I
my...
didn't hurt your finger. I got the pus out of the other one. That was disgusting.
Yeah, I had this finger. Look at this. This is taking 3 weeks to heal.
That was like pussy and green. That was a little, it made me a little sick.
Well, I would leave your pussy out of this, but no, this finger was in bad shape. It finally broke. It healed, and then of course I'm helping at work, and I'm going through. This is a smart thing to do. I'm going through barehanded a box of broken iPads. Wouldn't you know that there's little baby slivers of broken glass in a box of iPads? I know now. So I'm hoping there's no glass in this finger and it's just healing up nicely. If there is, you'll see me next week, and I'll be like, hey, I can count to 9. So
No, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
And you'll be fine too. I'm glad you're over. Because we never even got to say, Joyce had a
That's okay.
miserable week because she got her shot locally, and she got her third Pfizer, her booster, and she was warned about it. They tell you might get headache, you might get fever, but she's also prone to migraines and getting headache and you're not getting prone to fever, but you're prone
No,
to
I'm not prone to fever.
nausea and headache with migraines.
My metabolism is low, so when I get a fever, it's probably higher because I have a low metabolic rate to begin with.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my
Oh, because
metabolic rate is lower, so if I get a fever, it's bad.
So here was the deal. She gets the shot, and a day later, she's just like, in horrible. She's got fever. She's vomiting. Well, usually when you get a migraine, you make yourself vomit to feel better. Are you all having lunch now? So I'm glad that you're feeling about 85 to 90% better today. Certainly much better than you were. I'm glad that the fever was a false alarm and related to the shot,
Yeah.
because that's huge with her. But yeah, no, it was not a great week. But we can say that you will probably feel some effect if you get the Pfizer booster.
Depends. Like what they told me was that you can get a reaction to any one of them. It's not just because I didn't have a reaction for the first 2, but the third I did. It doesn't matter if you have a reaction or not. They're independent events. So you can have a reaction to any one of the 3, all of the 3, none of the 3, 2 of the 3, or 1 of the 3, or etc.
Yeah, but at least we can use the car again. The battery's working, and as a matter of fact, I made Joyce sit on the booster seat.
Oh, Mr. Dave Body.
I know. On that note, it is. Oh my God! It's just about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Ah.
I'm calling her she Felder.
What are you calling him? Oh, speaking of, I didn't even mention, coming up, I think I did say that Alexis Green is going to be with us in a couple of weeks, a very well-respected theater critic and writer, and she has a book coming out that she wrote about legendary theater person Emily Mann. So that is going to be happening, I think, on November 6th, and, oh my God, on October 30th, so 2 weeks from now, playwright Ken Ludwig, the guy who wrote Lend Me a Tenor, is going to be our guest in the Daverhood. So I don't know who's on next week, but, you got to watch the show. You got to check the Facebook page. You got to check davesgoneby.com for all that information. It just remains for me to say thank you to everyone again. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for sharing the show. Thank you all for writing back on Facebook and responding to Joyce's messages.
Ask them if they know where Brian Laundrie is to please also write in.
Yeah, if you know where Brian Laundrie is... because I've got like a stack of laundry that needs doing. Put them together and then just get all the laundry done at once. Yeah, you're funny, Daddy. You're just hilarious. Look how beautiful New Potato is. He is just gorgeous. Look at that. Beautiful, even with the tag. Oh, no. It's going to be a great week. Make it a great week. We'll see you, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, a week from today. I believe it's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, October 23rd, 2021, for the 821st episode of Dave's Gone By. Until then, don't miss your days going by, and have a great week.
Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by. Days gone by, they're gone by.
And check your Toyota car batteries.